Chapter 569. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. The three of them entered the bedchamber. During this time, Princess Ning and also looked at Princess Xinyang strangely several times. Obviously, she also felt that Princess Xinyang was strange. However, Princess Ning and Princess Xinyang weren't close before they got married. After they got married, they were at different ends of the world. Not familiar with each other meant that there was no reason to suspect. There were many palace servants on duty in the bedchamber. Princess Xinyang called Eunuch Wei in and said, "Take them away first. I want to be alone with Imperial Brother and Princess Ning in." "Ah yes." Eunuch Wei suppressed the fear in his heart and secretly glanced at Princess Xinyang's hand. Oh my, it really is there. He pretended to drop the token on the ground and used the time he squatted down to pick it up to look at Princess Xinyang's Adam's apple under her bamboo hat. Oh my, she really does have an Adam's apple. He hadn't carefully looked at Princess Xinyang before. Today was such a coincidence that he saw everything he shouldn't see. He suddenly felt a little sorry for Marquis Xianping. Eunuch Wei took the palace servants away. Only the sleeping emperor and the two princesses were left in the room. I'm so tired." Princess Xinyang let go of Princess Ning An's hand and found a chair to sit down. Then she ordered arrogantly, "Xiaoyu, pour me some tea." The servant girl called Xiaoyu, ignored her and walked to the dragon bed and grabbed the emperor's wrist. "What are you doing?" Princess Ning and grabbed the servant girl's wrist. Princess Xinyang's expression changed, and she stood up. "You dare grab her wrist? Aren't you afraid she'll send you flying with a slap?" The servant girl looked indifferently at Princess Ning An's hand. For some reason, Princess Ning An felt this gaze was inexplicably familiar and made her shudder. "Okay, Xiaoyu, there's nothing else for you to do here. Go make me some tea." Princess Xinyang unobtrusively separated the two people's hands and shielded the servant girl behind her. She waved her hand behind her back. The servant girl slapped the back of her hand. It was a little painful. Princess Xinyang smiled and once again took Princess Ning An's hand wrist. She whispered, "Let's go sit over there and talk." Princess Ning An asked, "You're not here to see Imperial Brother?" Princess Xinyang chuckled and said, "Of course. What I meant was that you go sit over there and wait for me. After I'm done with my brother, I'll go and chat with you." Princess Ning An glanced at Princess Xinyang suspiciously. After all, she wasn't familiar with Princess Xinyang and wasn't sure if Princess Xinyang had been like this all these years. She didn't say anything and went to sit down on a chair. The young maidservant who was ordered to make tea also found a chair and sat down. Princess Ning An, "Didn't you want to make tea?" "Oh my poor His Majesty, how did he get hurt so badly?" Princess Xinyang took out her handkerchief and reached into her veil to wipe away two non-existent tears. She then beckoned to the young maidservant. "Xiaoyu, come and watch over His Majesty. If His Majesty wakes up, call me. I want to have a few intimate words with Sister Ning An." The young maidservant gave her a sidelong glance. She had gone overboard. The young maidservant came to the bedside. Princess Xinyang choked out, "Watch over His Majesty carefully." Young maidservant. Princess Xinyang came to Princess Ning An's side and asked sadly, "Sister Ning An, quickly tell me, what happened these past few days?" Princess Ning An looked in the direction of the dragon bed. Princess Xinyang blocked her with her broad body. "Sister, tell me. I'm listening." Princess Ning An frowned, but still told her what had happened. It was nothing more than an assassin trying to assassinate His Majesty, and His Majesty was smashed in the head and fell into a coma. "It's getting late. I should go back and take care of Xian Princess Ning An said as she stood up. "I'll see you out," Princess Xinyang said. "No need." Princess Ning An declined. Princess Xinyang insisted on seeing her out. As they tugged and tugged, Princess Ning An's skirt was stepped on by Princess Xinyang, and she fell forward. Princess Xinyang, who had been behind her, somehow flashed in front of her and caught her steadily. "Are you all right, sister?" "I'm fine." Princess Ning An straightened up. "Thank you, sister." Princess Xinyang said apologetically. I'm sorry, I stepped on your skirt. Princess Ning'an said. It's fine. Princess Xinyang sighed. I won't cause you any more trouble. You should hurry back and take care of Xian. I'll come see you when I have time. Okay. Princess Ning'an turned to leave. She had already crossed the threshold when she turned back to look at Princess Xinyang. Her eyes filled with confusion. After confirming that Princess Ning'an was far away, only then did Princess Xinyang take off her bamboo hat, revealing an unfamiliar face covered in rashes. But how was it Xinyang? It was Gu Chengfeng. I can finally stand up straight. Gu Chengfeng stood up straight, and his skirt instantly shortened by a large chunk. He was taller than Princess Xinyang, and in order not to expose himself, he kept his legs bent. His calf Achilles tendons were sore. How is it? The young maidservant turned to ask her. The young maidservant was naturally not a young maidservant, but Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao was wearing a mask made of human skin. She couldn't make too much of an expression, or the mask would fall off. Gu Chengfeng didn't wear it because he had to speak and make a lot of expressions. If a piece of his face fell off, the scene would be quite frightening. The rashes on his face were drawn on. Have I ever made a mistake? Look at what this is. He raised his eyebrows proudly, reached out, and opened his palm to reveal a bronze key. This was the item he had stolen from Princess Ning'an earlier. There was another important reason why eunuch Qin didn't leave the palace with Empress Dowager Zhuang. He wanted to stay behind to investigate what Empress Dowager Zhuang had told him. After Princess Ning'an returned to the palace, she went to the nunnery. At first, Empress Dowager Zhuang thought she was missing her late mother, and didn't think much of it. Later, she guessed that old concubine Jing had left something for Princess Ning'an before she died. Eunuch Qin searched until his head went bald. Finally, he found a clue. It seems to be a key, Eunuch Qin said in the letter. Along with the letter, Little Nine brought back the imperial edict for Princess Ning'an to be a regent. Thus, they came up with the plan of having Princess Xinyang be regent. Xiaoheng also thought of removing the regent position, but with Princess Ning'an's personality, she would probably make another imperial edict for herself. Thus, she still had to take the regent position. Why Princess Xinyang? First, Gu Qingfeng had seen her and heard her speak, so he didn't feel any pressure acting as her. Second, she had the golden whip bestowed by the late emperor. If anyone doubted it, Gu Qingfeng could take the whip to the throne room. Gu Qingfeng looked at the key and said, Say, what kind of key do you think this is? Old concubine Jing must have left something important for her daughter. Could it be a treasury for her daughter? Or was it a treasure trove? The kind that could rival a country's wealth? Or it could be an armory. Men and women had different hobbies. Women liked jewelry, while men liked weapons. In Gu Qingfeng's eyes, an armory was something that excited him more than gold and silver. Gu Jiao said, Make a guess. It didn't cost any money anyway. Gu Qingfeng waved his hand. Forget it, I won't guess. Hurry up and think of a way to make a copy. We still have to send it back to her later. Gu Jiao took out a piece of dough wrapped in cloth from her sleeve, pressed the key into it, and removed the mold. Then she handed it to him. Okay, you can return it to her now. Gu Qingfeng put away the key. Is His Majesty all right? Gu Jiao put the dough back into her sleeve. His head was severely injured, and he was fed medicine again. His condition isn't too good. Can he still wake up? Gu Qingfeng asked. I don't know, Gu Jiao said. Gu Qingfeng sighed. Although it's not appropriate to say this, why do I feel like His Majesty deserves it? The emperor, who couldn't wake up but could hear everything clearly, was speechless. Gu Qingfeng continued to complain. Who told him not to spoil the person he should have and not trust the person he should have? What a waste of his eyes. Gu Jiao was measuring the emperor's blood pressure when she felt the changes on the blood pressure gauge. Gu Qingfeng said with a strong aura. If it were up to me, Ning'an's inkstone was too light. She should have stabbed him a dozen more times so that he couldn't get out of bed for 7 or 8 years. Let's see if he still remembers. The emperor's blood pressure soared. Gu Jiao turned around and looked at Gu Qingfeng sympathetically. Gu Qingfeng grabbed a fruit and took a big bite. Then he crossed his legs and looked at Gu Jiao. Why are you looking at me? Gu Jiao retracted her gaze and looked at the blood pressure gauge that was about to explode. She put it away without batting an eyelid. Then she came to Gu Qingfeng's side, patted his shoulder and put the bamboo hat on his head. After we're done with this, find a place to hide. Also, she looked down at his collar. Here it's crooked. When Eunuch Wei entered the bedchamber with a pot of brewed tea, he saw Princess Xinyang with her head lowered and her hands constantly rubbing her chest. Eunuch Wei was petrified on the spot. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1086159885. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 570. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Qingfeng used to have a fake voice, but today was his first time cross-dressing. It was really hard for a straight man like him. Gu Qingfeng took a long time to make the two little fellows symmetrical. Oh, not bad. He was quite satisfied. Eunuch Wei, so you're this kind of Princess Xinyang. Gu Jiao gave the emperor acupuncture to alleviate his condition, but the specific effects would have to be observed later. Let's go, Gu Jiao said to Gu Qingfeng. And Gu Qingfeng switched to Princess Xinyang's voice in a second. He stood up and bent his knees, letting his gorgeous skirt drag on the ground. Then he elegantly reached out a hand. Shall you or support this princess? Gu Jiao didn't even look at that hand and walked past him. Gu Qingfeng, who was ignored. Gu Qingfeng forcefully recovered his dignity and said, Xiao Yuer is still so anxious to open the way for this princess. All right, you can open the door. Gu Jiao looked at him with a dark expression. Can you not be so dramatic? The two left Pure Flower's palace. Gu Qingfeng said, I want to return the key to her. Wait for me outside Jade Cloud's hall. Gu Jiao glanced at him. Is it convenient for you to wear this? It was indeed a bit inconvenient. A woman's clothes were actually so troublesome. They were layered and bound from head to toe. He couldn't even move his legs. Gu Jiao reached out a hand. I'll go. You wait for me in the Imperial Garden. Gu Qingfeng thought about it for a while. His clothes really hindered his movements. He handed the key to her and said, Then be careful. Eunuch Qin said that there were more than 10 servants coming from the frontier fortress. They said that they used to serve Huang Fuxian. Does that little cripple need so many people to serve him? I think there's something fishy going on. Understood. Gu Jiao took the key and went to Jade Cloud's hall. Gu Jiao had never been to Baixia Hall, but it did not affect Eunuch Qin from drawing a picture of Baixia Hall for her. She easily found Princess Ning An's bedroom. Princess Ning An's key was originally placed in her purse. Along the way, she had not opened the purse, so there was no possibility of it falling out. In order not to be discovered, she had to put it back in its original place. Gu Jiao's luck was good. Princess Ning An had just put down the purse on the dressing table, and then went to the side room. Gu Jiao put on her gloves, gently opened the pouch, and put the key inside. When Princess Ning An came out of the side room, Gu Jiao had already jumped out of the window. Gu Jiao planned to meet up with Gu Qingfeng, but when she passed by a room, she heard a muffled groan from inside. There's a patient. Gu Jiao took a few steps back and looked through the narrow gap in the window lattice. She saw an empty wheelchair. She could almost guess whose room it was. There was an imperial doctor on duty in the room, but now he went to the outhouse. Gu Jiao opened the window lattice and jumped in. She came to the bed. Huang Fuxian's situation was very bad. His breathing was short, his pulse was unstable, and his forehead and body were constantly sweating. It seemed that he was enduring great pain. Does it hurt anywhere? Gu Jiao frowned strangely. She checked Huang Fuxian's upper body. Except for a few abrasions on his palms that had already healed, she did not see any injuries that could cause such intense pain. She then gently pulled Huang Fuxian's quilt. She pulled up Huang Fuxian's trousers and finally understood the problem. His bones grew out of his skin and flesh. Bones grew faster than skin and flesh. Therefore, many patients with amputations at a young age would undergo more than one bone grinding operation during their growth. This kind of operation was a kind of torture for the patient's body and mind. His situation had already caused slight inflammation. He had to undergo the bone grinding operation as soon as possible. No matter how bad it was, he had to quickly treat the wound to stop the inflammation. Gu Jiao did not bring a small medicine box, but she carried a palm-sized emergency medicine bag. She took out disinfectant and gauze, did a simple cleaning of the inflamed area, and took 2 anti-inflammatory pills to feed him. Huang Fuxian was in a daze. He felt that he had fallen into a cold embrace. He wanted to open his eyes, but he did not even have the strength to look up. Drink it. He heard someone talking to him in his ear. He was a rebellious teenager. No one could order him to do things. Gu Jiao said, "If you don't drink it, I'll take off your pants." Huang Fuxian. Huang Fuxian drank the medicine aggrievedly. He was in great pain. Gu Jiao gave him a special painkiller from the research institute. This kind of painkiller had little side effects and could be taken by children. However, under normal circumstances, Gu Jiao still would not give it to children. But wasn't this an emergency? She could not care so much. Gu Jiao laid him down and pulled the quilt over him. At this time, the imperial doctor also came back. Gu Jiao jumped out of the window. "Why were you gone for so long? Did something happen?" In the imperial garden, Gu Chengfeng looked at Gu Jiao, who had arrived late, and asked. Gu Jiao looked around and said, "Nothing, I went to see Huang Fuxian." Gu Chengfeng breathed a sigh of relief. "I thought you went to investigate the situation of those people from the frontier fortress." "They are not in Bixia Hall." Gu Jiao did not feel the aura of any masters. Either they also used drugs to self-destruct their bodies to suppress their skills, or they were not there at all. Gu Chengfeng was puzzled. "Not in Bixia Hall." "Then where did they go?" Gu Jiao said. "Maybe they went to the Imperial Household Department." Didn't Eunuch Qin say that those who move into the palace from the outside must go to the Imperial Household Department to register? There is such a thing. Gu Chengfeng suddenly understood and thought of something. He smiled wickedly. "Why did you go see Huang Fuxian? Do you want to capture him to threaten Ning'an?" Gu Jiao gave him a speechless look. The next second, her ears twitched. She grabbed Gu Chengfeng and hid in the grass behind her. On a small path not far away, Princess Ning'an hurried past with Lian, and a few men dressed as guards. It looked like they were about to leave the palace. Gu Chengfeng asked in a low voice, "I've always had a question. Why can a man outside live in the palace? Huang Fuxian is still young and is the princess's son. This is another matter, but those guards," Gu Jiao said. "The masters in the palace are all eunuchs. What do you think?" "So they are eunuchs too?" Gu Chengfeng felt that his little melon was a bit cold. Gu Jiao nodded. "Should be. If they weren't eunuchs, Empress Xiao wouldn't let them in." Even though Xiao Heng was so loved by her grandaunt, who even left a room for him, he had never really stayed overnight in the palace. This was the palace's rule. "Follow them," Gu Jiao said. The two of them followed at a distance. They heard Princess Ning'an get into the carriage that the emperor had bestowed upon her as she approached the palace gates. The guards on duty stopped the carriage. Princess Ning'an said, "I'm going out to buy something. I've already told the empress." Lian took out a travel card given to her by Cunning Palace. The guards hurriedly let her go. Princess Xinyang didn't need to show the card when she left the palace. She didn't live in the palace in the first place. The guards were just a bit confused. Why did another princess come after they had just sent off one princess? Since they were both going out, why not go together? Princess Ning'an's carriage stopped at the entrance of a silk shop. Lian alighted from the carriage. It was unknown what Princess Ning'an said to her, but Lian entered the shop while Princess Ning'an continued her journey in the carriage. The 4 guards and the driver also followed. Gu Qingfeng looked over from the carriage and snorted. Sure enough, buying something is just a cover. He turned his head and found Gu Jiao deep in thought. He couldn't help but ask, "Why are you in a daze?" Gu Jiao said indifferently, "Who's in a daze?" Gu Qingfeng asked, "Then why aren't you saying anything? What are you thinking about?" Gu Jiao said, "I'm thinking about what happened in the imperial study that day." Gu Qingfeng raised his eyebrows. Didn't Eunuch Qin say that nothing happened in the letter? Even if His Majesty saw Hua Xiao's confession, Princess Ning'an didn't hesitate to commit suicide by hitting a pillar to prove her innocence. Who would have thought that she would do it for nothing? His Majesty didn't believe her at all. After that, she knocked His Majesty unconscious. The Dragon Shadow Guard made a move, but with a wave of her hand, the Dragon Shadow Guard fell. After that, she killed Lu Ping and stabbed and smashed herself, pretending that the guard was injured. This is what Eunuch Wei saw, but perhaps there are some things that he didn't see. As Gu Jiao spoke, she made a waving motion with her hand. With this, the Dragon Shadow Guard was knocked down. Gu Qingfeng took off his bamboo hat and said, "Did she use some kind of hidden weapon? But what kind of hidden weapon can make a Dragon Shadow Guard fall down in an instant? The kind with poison?" Gu Jiao didn't say anything. Gu Qingfeng didn't understand. Speaking of which, where did the injured Dragon Shadow Guard go? Eunuch Wei said that he escaped, but where could he escape to? And isn't the Dragon Shadow Guard loyal and devoted? Why did he abandon His Majesty and escape? Gu Jiao muttered. Yes, why? Hey, their carriage stopped. Gu Qingfeng said. Gu Jiao lifted the curtain and said to the coachman, "Stop for a moment." Their carriage stopped in an alley about 10 steps away, while Princess Ning'an's carriage stopped in front of a gambling house. When Princess Ning'an got out of the carriage, she was no longer dressed as she was in the palace. Instead, she was wearing a black cloak, and the hood of the cloak covered her head. Gu Qingfeng chuckled. Sneaking around, it's obviously not a good thing. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found online here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/10859493. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Pavilion mobile reading website. Chapter 571. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. Gu Jiao looked at Princess Ning'an's cloak and couldn't help but think that concubine Jing also had a similar cloak. They were indeed mother and daughter. This was a gambling house where crooks mixed in with honest folk. One could see all kinds of people inside. Princess Ning'an seemed to be very familiar with this place. Soon, she entered a room at the end of the corner on the first floor that was guarded by guards. Gu Jiao tried to enter, but was told that it wasn't a place where ordinary people were allowed to enter, so she had to keep an eye on them from somewhere else. Here. In a shabby courtyard next to the casino, Gu Qingfeng waved at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao walked over. This was a house that hadn't been inhabited for a long time. The wall in the backyard was only one wall away from the room in the casino. The two put their ears to the wall and could faintly hear the conversation in the room. Didn't I lead them out? Are you blaming me for the failure of your own men? It was Princess Ning'an's voice. Gu Qingfeng asked Gu Jiao silently, What do you mean? It should be the time when Xiao Heng was lured out of the capital by Assistant Minister Li's case. Minister Xing was also there. The two of them were almost killed by a group of men in black. It was only because of the black fire pearl that they managed to escape. From these words, it was almost certain that the other party was from the Yin Kingdom. There was a dangerous aura in it that even Gu Jiao was wary of. Gu Jiao narrowed her eyes, a little excitement surging in her heart. Princess Ning'an spoke again. Speaking of which, who is he? Why do you want to kill him? That's not something you should ask. It was a man's voice. It seemed that Ning didn't know Xiao Liulang's true identity. She might not even know that Xiao Lulang was Xiao Heng. Otherwise, she wouldn't have tried to sow discord in front of Empress Xiao and ended up asking for a snub. Eunuch Qin's informant in the Palace of Earthly Tranquility brought out the news of sowing discord. Eunuch Qin told Gu Jiao and the others about it in a letter. It wasn't strange that Princess Ning didn't know. First of all, she hadn't seen Xiao Heng before, so it was difficult to connect the two just by looking at their faces. Secondly, this group of people probably didn't want Immortal Music House to inquire about Xiao Heng's identity. Princess Ning said, "Fine, I won't meddle in your business. However, I've already done what I promised you. You haven't fulfilled your promise to me even once." The man said, "Lure him out again." Princess Ning asked, "Why must we lure him out? Can't I just find a random place in the capital to make a move?" He goes to the Hanlin Academy and the Ministry of Justice every day. He can always find an opportunity to make a move on the way back and forth, right? The man said, "There are too many witnesses. We can't take this risk." Princess Ning said, "Then tonight should be fine, right? Or you can just sneak into his house. Can't you do that?" The man said, "Unless we kill everyone in the alley and leave no witnesses." But even so, there would still be traces of the crime. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they didn't want to make a move in the capital. Princess Ning said sarcastically, "It seems that there's no room for discussion between us." The man said, "If you want your things back, you'd better do as we say." Princess Ning sneered, "Why go through so much trouble? Why don't I help you kill him?" The man said, "If you can really kill him, that's fine. Bring his head here, and we'll give it to you." After that, the room fell into a strange silence. No one knew what Princess Ning was thinking, but it wasn't difficult to judge that Princess Ning was very angry from the sound of the table being hit and the cup being thrown. In the end, the man seemed to have given Princess Ning a gift, which temporarily calmed her down. Gu Chengfeng whispered, "That group of people is the power of the Yin Kingdom. What did they take from Princess Ning to force Princess Ning to work for them? Could it have something to do with the key?" "She's gone," Gu Jiao said. Gu Chengfeng said, "Then should we follow her, or follow that group of people?" Gu Jiao said, "That group of people." They had cast such a long line and finally caught the fish. Naturally, they would chase after the fish and bite it. But no one expected that Gu Chengfeng's nose would suddenly itch. He couldn't hold it in and sneezed loudly. "Who's there?" the man asked coldly. Gu Chengfeng hated his nose. Why didn't he sneeze earlier or later? Why did he have to sneeze now? This was great. They were exposed. Gu Jiao whistled at the sky, then grabbed Gu Chengfeng and flew out of the courtyard. Princess Ning's bodyguard used Qinggong to chase after them. Gu Chengfeng lifted the veil of his bamboo hat and grabbed the heavy skirt with both hands. He stepped on his splayed feet and ran forward. A woman's skirt really affected his speed. In a moment of carelessness, the two were caught by the 4 bodyguards. The two sides fiercely exchanged blows. Gu Jiao didn't bring any weapons and fought with her bare hands. She held back 3 bodyguards by herself, but one of them still ran towards Gu Chengfeng. Gu Chengfeng's heavy palace attire really made it impossible for him to run away or fight. The other side slashed down with a cold sword. Gu Chengfeng dodged. "I'll dodge." The other side slashed at empty air and swung his sword again. "I'll dodge again." The other side slashed a few times but didn't hit and was completely enraged. He suddenly gave up on the sword and changed to a dagger at his waist. With lightning speed, he stabbed towards Gu Chengfeng's heart. This move was too strong and too fast. Gu Chengfeng didn't have time to dodge. With a loud bang, Gu Chengfeng's chest exploded. The guard was completely dumbfounded. What's going on? Did he blow up a woman's thing? Gu Chengfeng wanted to disguise as a man, so her figure had to be similar. Their first choice was steamed buns. However, light steamed buns were too small and big steamed buns were too heavy. In the end, Gu Jiao took out 2 small buns from the small medicine box and let Gu Chengfeng blow on them. They could be as big as he wanted. They were light and didn't fall off easily. Perfect. Gu Qingfeng thought it was quite fun. He asked Gu Jiao if she had any extra. He would give one each to his brother and Gu Qinglin, so they could blow on them when they had nothing to do. In the end, Gu Jiao said she didn't have any. There were only these two left, and this guy exploded one of them. Gu Qingfeng was enraged. He picked up his pair of large palms and slapped the other party. Gu Jiao took care of the three people, but Gu Qingfeng was still slapping them with righteous indignation. Okay, let's go. Don't stop me. I want to beat him. I want to beat him. Gu Jiao grabbed the angry Gu Qingfeng and dragged him out of the alley. When Princess Ning and the man rushed to the alley, Gu Jiao and Gu Qingfeng were long gone. Princess Ning lost 4 bodyguards, but she didn't come out empty-handed. She found a section of golden muslin that had been cut off at the scene. She had seen this type of golden muslin on a person this morning. Before the 4th bodyguard died, he revealed 2 important pieces of information. It exploded. He was wearing women's clothes, but he spoke with a man's voice. Princess Ning measured the footprints on the ground. There were 2 pairs of female footprints. One was a normal size, but the other was bigger than the bodyguard's feet. Ha! Princess Ning laughed softly, her shoulders shaking. Xinyang, oh Xinyang, so you're a fake. After Gu Jiao and Gu Qingfeng got into the carriage, they had the coachman quickly drive the carriage to a crowded area. Gu Qingfeng was still feeling the pain of losing his treasure. Why are we running so fast? Gu Jiao said. They have a master. I can't beat them if you're with me. Gu Qingfeng snorted. What do you mean? Are my martial arts bad? Ha! When you broke into the marshal's residence at night, I wonder who saved you from the Tang army's arrows. Gu Jiao glanced at him. You know it was back then. Gu Qingfeng was speechless. Gu Qingfeng cleared his throat. They can't do anything in the capital, right? Gu Jiao said. They can't do anything easily, but there will always be a time when they have no other choice. Gu Qingfeng sighed regretfully. So we lost them just like that? Gu Jiao smiled and said, I won't. In the clear blue sky, a mighty gerfalcon flapped its wings and flew past. The next day, just after 3 in the morning, Empress Xiao took Eunuch Su to the Eastern Palace. Today was the Crown Prince's first day in court. Empress Xiao was worried that her son would miss something, so she came over to explain everything again. Empress Xiao tidied up her son's clothes and said, Your uncle is not in court. If you can't make up your mind, don't agree on the spot. Don't worry, I've already arranged everything. Your uncle's subordinates will help you. The Crown Prince said, I know. Mother, you've told me many times. That's because no one has reminded you. Empress Xiao paused in the middle of her words. Then she changed the topic and said, I'll choose a few concubines for you. When the time is right, you can choose one you like to be your wife. I'll listen to mother's orders. The Crown Prince whispered. Empress Xiao stroked her son's shoulder. Although he was still upset, he was not as stubborn as his father. The Crown Prince said, Mother, I'm going to court. Empress Xiao was still worried. Although I don't get along with Princess Xinyang, she's still your aunt. She won't harm you. Listen to what she says. Don't argue with her in court. If someone wants to drive a wedge between you two, you're not allowed to listen. The Crown Prince muttered. If I bully her, my uncle will beat me when he comes back. My uncle loves my aunt. Empress Xiao rolled her eyes. Humph, your uncle doesn't love her. He's just a man who cares about his face. Eunuch Su hurriedly walked in. Empress. Your Highness. Something happened. Empress Xiao frowned and looked at him. What happened? Eunuch Su couldn't hide his panic. Princess Xinyang and Princess Ning quarreled outside the throne room. Empress Xiao was puzzled. What are they quarreling about? Why did Ning go to the throne room? Eunuch Su said. Princess Ning seemed to have gone to find Princess Xinyang. She said. Empress Xiao asked. What did she say? Eunuch Su braced himself and said. She said. Princess Xinyang is a fake. You said I'm a fake? What evidence do you have? Outside the throne room, Princess Xinyang, who was wearing a bamboo hat and veil, stood on the highest step. She looked down at Princess Ning, who was several steps shorter than her. If there's no evidence, then it's just slander. The doctor from the Imperial Censorate said, That's right. How could Princess Xinyang be a fake? Her voice is clearly the same. Princess Ning'an looked at everyone sincerely. I guess that you wouldn't believe me, but I really did see this person pretending to be Princess Xinyang on the street yesterday. I asked the old nannies in the palace. Princess Xinyang is accompanied by a female official called Yujin. No matter where Princess Xinyang goes, Yujin follows her everywhere. Then why is it that on such an important day as the court, Yujin is nowhere to be seen? The doctor from the Imperial Censorate choked. Yujin has been with Princess Xinyang for more than 10 years. Indeed, Yujin follows her every time she enters the palace. Princess Ning'an's gaze fell on the young maid beside Princess Xinyang. This was the same maid from yesterday, but she had already guessed her identity. Princess Ning'an pointed at the young maid and said, "This maid is wearing a human skin mask. She's also in disguise." What? Everyone was shocked. Not only was the princess a fake, but even the maid was a fake? For a moment, no one thought of the imperial edict conferring Princess Xinyang the regent of the country. However, if they knew that this master and servant were the Gu siblings in disguise, then the Gu family would not be able to escape the crime of rebellion. The crime of rebellion was punishable by the execution of the entire family. Xiao Lulang was the son-in-law of the Gu family. He would also die under the guillotine. This was what it meant to be given a pillow when one was sleepy. She was just worrying about how to kill Xiao Lulang. Everyone looked at the expressionless young maid. And then at Princess Xinyang, who was wearing a bamboo hat and didn't dare to reveal her true appearance. Princess Xinyang's fingers were slightly clenched. It wasn't hard to see that she was nervous. The young maid gently patted the back of Princess Xinyang's hand and shook her head slightly. This action seemed unintentional, but everyone still caught it. Princess Xinyang took a deep breath and slowly said, "Sister Ning'an, I've never done anything wrong to you. Why are you slandering me like this?" Princess Ning'an said, "I'm not slandering you. I just don't want you to use the identity of Princess Xinyang to swindle others. Yesterday you went to see His Majesty. I don't know if you did anything, but I heard that His Majesty's condition is getting worse." Everyone's eyes darkened. They looked at Princess Xinyang with suspicion and coldness. Princess Ning'an stared straight at her. "If you were Princess Xinyang, would you dare take off your bamboo hat?" Princess Xinyang clenched her handkerchief and said calmly, "I have a rash. My appearance is unsightly. It's inconvenient for me to meet people." Princess Ning'an walked up the steps step by step. "Do you have a rash or are you not?" Princess Xinyang said indifferently, "What if I am?" Princess Ning'an suddenly looked behind Princess Xinyang. "Brother." Princess Xinyang turned around. Princess Ning'an took advantage of the unprepared situation and took off her bamboo hat. A face covered in rashes was exposed in front of everyone. What was surprising was that this was indeed Princess Xinyang's face. Princess Ning'an was shocked. "Impossible. You must be wearing a mask." She reached out to tear off the human skin mask on Princess Xinyang's face, but was slapped by Princess Xinyang. Impudent. Princess Xinyang's eyes were cold, and her aura was completely released. Princess Ning'an was hit and rolled down the steps. The imperial experts behind her swarmed forward to capture Princess Xinyang. Who would have thought that suddenly, a dragon-like figure would descend from the sky and block in front of Princess Xinyang? Digression Longy Lu request, Lu month Lu vote. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg com/89642_896422826/1085942991. HTML Genius memorized this site's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. Chapter 572. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all here. Those imperial experts who were originally rushing towards Princess Xingyang were almost instantly blown away by a terrifying internal force. No one saw how this man who had suddenly appeared made his move. By the time everyone reacted, they had already fallen beside Princess Ning'an. It should be known that they were all experts brought from the frontier fortress. Although they weren't as powerful as the dragon shadow guards, they were definitely not ordinary people. Unexpectedly, they were so easily defeated by the other party. Princess Ning'an was so shocked that she couldn't speak. In a flash, she recognized the dragon shadow guard mask on the other party's face. But this was very strange, wasn't it? She had seen all 4 of the Emperor's dragon shadow guards, but none of them were so tall and swift. Moreover, one of the 4 dragon shadow guards was already dead, and the other 3 were still healing. It was impossible for them to move. So where did this dragon shadow guard come from? Not many ministers of the imperial court had actually seen the dragon shadow guard. For a moment, no one recognized the rumored dragon shadow guard, and only thought that he was a shadow guard at Princess Xingyang's side. The ministers didn't know much about the martial strength of experts, but seeing him easily defeat 4, they couldn't help but feel that he was very powerful. So powerful, is he a shadow guard given by Marquis Xianping? Should be. The ministers began to whisper among themselves. Because of their fear of Long Yi, no one dared to step forward and help the injured Princess Ning'an up. Princess Xingyang walked down the steps step by step. Her face was covered with red rashes, but her aura didn't decrease in the slightest. Princess Xingyang stopped at a step in front of Princess Ning'an and looked down at her. You say I'm fake? Open your eyes wide and see, am I fake? Princess Ning'an's gaze firmly fell on Princess Xingyang's face. After looking for a long time, she shifted her gaze to the little maid. Princess Xingyang raised her hand and beckoned with her finger. The little maid understood and silently came to Princess Xingyang's side. Princess Xingyang indifferently said, You suspect my maid is wearing a human skin mask, then I'll find someone to take it off for you to see. Finished speaking, she looked at a nearby eunuch. You come here. The eunuch quickly walked over. Do it. Yes. The eunuch walked in front of the young maidservant and said politely, Excuse me. He reached out to touch the young servant girl's face and behind her ears, then carefully examined the young servant girl's face. He turned to Princess Xingyang and Princess Ning'an and said, In response to the 2 princesses, this is her own face. Princess Ning'an's expression changed. Impossible. Yesterday, it was this servant girl who had been with the impostor Princess Xingyang. This servant girl's actions were strange, and she had even taken the Emperor's pulse. It was clearly Gu Jiao. Princess Xingyang ordered, Go over yourself and show Princess Ning'an your face. Yes. The servant girl called walked up to Princess Ning'an, squatted down, and put her face close to Princess Ning'an. Princess Ning'an raised her hand and touched her face. It was indeed his face. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Princess Xingyang coldly asked, Ning'an, why did you do this? Princess Ning'an looked at the officials with complicated expressions and explained, It's because someone saw Princess Xingyang and this servant girl causing trouble on the street, and exposed the fact that she wasn't Princess Xingyang, so I... Princess Xingyang coldly snorted. That's why you didn't go to the Palace of Earthly Tranquility to report to the Empress or the Eastern Palace to report to the Crown Prince, and you didn't even go to my residence to ask my retainers for confirmation. You just brought me to justice in public like this. Have you gone crazy from wanting to gain merit? Or are you deliberately trying to stop me from regenting the country? Princess Ning'an gritted her teeth and avoided the sharp words, trying to focus on the main point. If I wasn't sure you were fake, would I have come to expose you? You're the one who set me up. Princess Xingyang wasn't afraid at all. Even if I set you up, you have to be willing to fall into it. You're overstepping your authority. The Empress and the Crown Prince are both here. So when did you have the right to come to the throne room to expose the fake princess? That was because Empress Xiao was protecting Xiao Lulang. If she knew that one of the imposters was Xiao Liulang's wife, Gu Jiao, she might have suppressed this matter. But if it was brought to the throne room, there would be no turning back. What happened? Empress Xiao and the Crown Prince arrived, And the one who asked was Empress Xiao. Princess Xinyang told the Empress what had just happened. The Empress saw my face yesterday and knows how serious it was. If it wasn't for my face recovering quickly, I'm afraid no one would recognize me today. She might say, if you're innocent, won't the truth be revealed after a few days when your rash subsides? The problem is, while I'm in prison waiting for the rash to subside, won't I be plotted against? These words were too perfect. Even Empress Xiao felt that this method of framing someone was feasible. If Princess Ning'an's goal was to kill Xinyang in prison, then her actions in the throne room today could be explained. Princess Ning'an was very angry. She didn't think that a person could make up such a flawless lie. But aren't you forgetting something? I have no reason to harm you. She indeed had no reason to frame Xinyang. Now she wanted to see how Xinyang would make up another story. Princess Xinyang's lips curled mockingly. Do you really think that His Majesty didn't tell me anything? Princess Ning'an's brows furrowed. She didn't understand what Princess Xinyang was saying, but she instinctively felt that something was wrong. Princess Xinyang said, there are some things that His Majesty didn't say because he wanted to save your face, and I didn't plan to expose it. But if you won't cry until you see the coffin, then don't blame me for announcing your and your mother's crimes to the world. Princess Ning'an's temples suddenly throbbed. She knew what Princess Xinyang wanted to say, but her reaction was too late. It was too late to shut Princess Xinyang's mouth. Princess Xinyang angrily looked at Princess Ning'an. When my son was 5 years old, he was poisoned near Rinshou Palace. The culprit behind the scenes was your mother, Jing Shirtai. Not only did she poison my son to frame the Empress Dowager, she also drugged His Majesty and sowed discord between His Majesty and the Empress Dowager. She even found people to assassinate His Majesty and kidnap the Empress Dowager. Her crimes, one after another, are too numerous to list. Such a vicious and sinister person should be destroyed by the heavens and earth. It's funny that you actually think that we colluded to force her to death. Princess Ning'an. You. Princess Xinyang coldly said. What about me? What did I say wrong? Or is there nothing wrong? You're so guilty that you can only glare at me? Princess Ning'an couldn't say a word for a long time. It was also at this moment that she truly realized that she had been crushed. Whether it was the truth or a lie, she had been completely crushed by Xinyang. Nonsense. I didn't. Sister-in-law. Believe me. Princess Ning'an couldn't outtalk Princess Xinyang, so she could only turn her head and place her hopes on Empress Xiao. Empress Xiao and Princess Xinyang had always been at odds. If you asked Empress Xiao which princess she hated the most, it would be none other than Xinyang. However, most people only saw Empress Xiao throwing a tantrum at Princess Xinyang, but they didn't know that it was all trivial matters. If Empress Xiao really wanted to scheme against someone, she wouldn't show her emotions on her face. Empress Xiao sternly said, I will investigate this matter thoroughly. Men, take Princess Ning'an away. Without my orders, she is not allowed to leave Iridescent Cloud's hall. This meant that she was going to put Princess Ning'an under house arrest. Yes. Eunuch Su complied and called for 2 capable eunuchs to drag the bruised and battered Princess Ning'an away. Go to court, Empress Xiao said to Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang nodded and reminded, don't let her get close to His Majesty again. Empress Xiao was stunned. Princess Xinyang didn't say anything else. She put on the bamboo hat handed to her by the servant girl, and turned to walk towards the throne room. Everyone, including Empress Xiao, was stunned for a long time. Concubine Jing really did those things. Cough. A doctor from the censorate muttered in a low voice, but he was elbowed by the Minister of War. Minister Su from the Minister of War lightly coughed, hinting his old friend to shut up. Mother. Crown Prince looked at Empress Xiao worriedly. Mother is fine. You can go to court. Empress Xiao was greatly shocked. She didn't feel sorry for Concubine Jing. She actually knew a little about Concubine Jing, but she didn't know everything. She also didn't feel sorry for Princess Ning'an. She just couldn't come back to her senses. Empress Xiao patted her son's shoulder. Go quickly. Don't delay the court. Mother still has other things to do. Crown Prince. Oh. Empress Xiao closed her eyes. Although she was very unwilling, she still warned. Listen to your Aunt Xinyang. He doesn't dare to disobey. Long Yi beat him. Princess Xinyang didn't look back. Long Yi heard. Ha 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 ha, beat him. Long Yi flashed in front of Crown Prince. Crown Prince's hair stood on end. Hey hey hey, why do I have to be beaten when I'm obedient? Digression. I just took a look. It's only 5 votes away from 1,000. Let's break it, the latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/10857270. HTML Genius will remember this site's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. Chapter 573. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Long Yi took the Crown Prince to a deserted place and spanked him. He didn't hit him too hard, but it was enough for the Crown Prince to suffer. After returning to Cunning Palace, Empress Xiao called for Xiao Heng to enter the palace. It was inconvenient for Xiao Heng to enter Cunning Palace as a male, so Empress Xiao met him in the side hall of Pure Flowers Palace. Ever since she came from the throne room, Empress Xiao's mind was filled with doubts. From the moment Xiao Heng received the summons, he knew that there was no way to hide the truth. Some things would come back sooner or later. Moreover, at this point, there was no need to hide anything from Empress Xiao. Xiao Heng first told her everything about old concubine Jing. There were some things that Princess Xinyang didn't mention, such as the fact that she was ordered to die by the emperor. Empress Xiao had been waiting for Xiao Heng for a while, so when she heard that the emperor had ordered the death of her most beloved and respected old concubine Jing, there weren't many ripples in her heart. She just sighed. Everyone said that the imperial family was heartless, but Empress Xiao knew that the emperor was a very sentimental person. The crown prince had perfectly inherited his sentiments, so he was deeply in love with Wen Linlang. Then what about Princess Ning'an? What's the matter with her? Compared to old concubine Jing, who had been dealt with long ago, Empress Xiao cared more about the living princess in front of her. Ning'an, did she really want to harm Xinyang? Xiao Heng shook his head. That's not it. Princess Ning'an came back for revenge, but the target of her revenge wasn't Princess Xinyang. His Majesty, Grandaunt, Gu Jiao, and the Gu family were her ultimate targets of revenge. In Ning'an's opinion, His Majesty and Empress Dowager killed old concubine Jing, and Gu Jiao and Gu Chongqing killed the emperor's son-in-law. Empress Xiao frowned. What does it have to do with the girl of the Gu family? She could understand the other three, but wasn't her husband killed by Gu Chongqing? Xiao Heng said, at the frontier fortress, the remnants of the previous dynasty found plague patients and tried to use them to poison the Gu army. Jiao Jiao was treating a patient, and unfortunately got infected. The Jiao Jiao didn't know about it, and fainted during an operation. After that he was captured by the prince consort. The prince consort is also infected. Jiao Jiao didn't give him any medicine. Empress Xiao said angrily, "Of course I can't give this bastard medicine." So she blamed this on the Gu family's girl? But weren't they the ones who caused the plague? Being infected could only be said to be a consequence of one's own actions. What does this have to do with the Gu family's girl? Xiao Heng said calmly, some people are unreasonable. If they are reasonable, they won't become that kind of person. Empress Xiao sighed. You're right. So it seems that she didn't really give up the prince consort because she had no other choice. Xiao Heng continued. I heard from Jiao Jiao that her relationship with the prince consort had been strained since before the prince consort was diagnosed with the plague. Now that I think about it, she might have thought about every step of the way from the beginning. Even the prince consort couldn't understand her thoughts, and only thought that she was really estranged from him. This person's thoughts are too deep. Why didn't I find out that she was so scheming before? Empress Xiao frowned. The bright smile of the girl Ningen flashed in her mind. For a moment, she couldn't believe it. Next, Xiao Heng told Empress Xiao about the case of Xianlu House, as well as how Princess Ningen killed Lu Ping, persecuted the emperor, and bribed Assistant Minister Li to slander Minister Xing and Empress Dowager Zhuang. Of course, there was also the matter of Princess Ningen forging 2 imperial edicts. Empress Xiao was so angry that her face turned green. Outrageous. Preposterous. She was so angry that her teeth itched. After a while, she suppressed her anger and asked Xiao Heng, "Is the Empress Dowager all right?" Xiao Heng said, "She's fine. The Empress Dowager is living in by Shui Alley. She's very safe." "That's good." Empress Xiao was secretly relieved. "You have to be careful." Xiao Heng nodded. "We will." Empress Xiao looked at him again with a complicated expression. "Speaking of which, you guys are too bold. Not only did you copy Ningen and forge imperial edicts, but you also found someone to pretend to be Princess Xinyang." She was wondering why Princess Xinyang was so strange yesterday. She spoke in a strange tone and even fell down in front of her. The whole harem saw it. If Xinyang found out about this, he would skin them alive. Empress Xiao felt sorry for them. Empress Xiao said, "Also, if your mother didn't come back in time, how would you deal with the situation in the throne room this morning?" Xiao Heng had really thought about this. Yesterday, after Gu Jiao and Gu Qingfeng followed Princess Ningen back, they found that Gu Qingfeng's skirt had been scraped a little. At that time, they guessed that their identity might have been exposed. Princess Ningen would definitely expose them as soon as possible. And the best time to do so would be the first court appearance of Princess Xinyang. Just as they were thinking about countermeasures, Princess Xinyang returned. She came back quietly without alerting anyone. It was worth mentioning that Gu Jiao's identity was not fabricated. There was a servant girl named Yu in the house on Vermilion Bird Avenue. The human skin mask Gu Jiao wore was made according to her face. She was a Hanlin official who had passed 2 imperial exams. She still had this degree of rigor. Princess Ningen's act in front of the court officials today could be considered a complete failure. Princess Xinyang was not someone to be trifled with. Just because she didn't scheme didn't mean she didn't know how. She just disdained it. Empress Xiao lamented that these guys were really newborn calves who were not afraid of tigers. They had committed all the capital crimes and even killed their master with their fists. She didn't know if they were lucky or Ningen was unlucky. Empress Xiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "What do you plan to do next?" Xiao Heng said. "There's still another force in the dark. Next, we'll wipe them out in one fell swoop." Empress Xiao pondered for a moment and asked, "Where did that force come from?" Xiao Heng paused. "The Yin Kingdom." Empress Xiao sucked in a cold breath. Xiao Heng had confessed everything he could. The only thing he didn't mention was his identity. It wasn't that he didn't dare to tell Empress Xiao. Whether or not he was Princess Xinyang's son, he was still Marquis Xuanping's son. Empress Xiao was still his aunt. He just didn't know how to say it. At first, he didn't want to mention his identity to the people around him because it was hard for him to say it. But now he was afraid. He was afraid that one day, he would leave Princess Xinyang's side and search for the truth that he shouldn't search for. He only had one mother, Princess Xinyang. Jade Water Alley. Gu Jiao sat listlessly in the central room, peeling corn. Last night, Long Yi had pulled her charcoal pencil all night. Now she was sleepy and tired. Her little head kept pecking at the rice. Gu Qingfeng walked over and sat down in front of her. He waved his hand. "Hey girl." Gu Jiao ignored him and continued to peck at the rice like a little chicken. She almost pecked the table. Gu Qingfeng hurriedly stretched out the back of his hand to support her forehead. Gu Jiao closed her eyes. "Your hand is so hard." Gu Qingfeng. "I'm your cushion and you still dislike it. Is the back of my hand or the table hard?" Gu Jiao sat up straight. Gu Qingfeng looked at her strangely. "What's wrong with you?" "I didn't sleep well." Gu Jiao yawned. "My hand is so sore in the morning." Gu Qingfeng clicked his tongue and took the corn cob that Gu Jiao had peeled. "Why are you women's hands sore?" "You're not a man." Gu Jiao asked. "Why can't a woman's hands be sore?" "Woman." Gu Qingfeng spoke halfway and realized what he had just said. He suddenly choked and cleared his throat. I'm so hungry. Let's go and see if there's anything to eat. After saying that, he slipped away like a wisp of smoke, even forgetting to put the corn cob back. When Xiao Heng returned from the imperial palace, Gu Jiao had already fallen asleep on the table. She was drooling. Everyone in the family had gone out. Even Gu Xiaobao and Yao Shi were not there. Unsurprisingly, they had gone to watch their grandaunt play cards again. Xiao Heng came behind Gu Jiao and gently carried Gu Jiao back to the east room. He took off her outer clothes and shoes and covered her with a quilt. Gu Jiao turned over towards him. He was in the process of tidying up Gu Jiao's hair. His hand was suddenly pressed under Gu Jiao's cheek. He felt a soft and delicate touch on his palm. His heart seemed to have been rubbed by something. He sat down by the bed and did not pull his hand away. He looked at her and the corners of his lips unconsciously curled up slightly. Gu Jiao slept very soundly. There was a charcoal brazier in the room, so it was very warm. Not long after, her whole body heated up and her cheeks became red. Xiao Heng felt the heat from his palm. He looked at her face and unconsciously reached out his other hand to brush away the hair on her face. Then he slowly lowered his head. But the moment he was about to kiss her, he suddenly felt something. He turned his head and saw a masked face in front of him. A pair of innocent and grave eyes were staring at him with confusion. Xiao Heng sat up straight. Long Yi also sat up straight. Xiao Heng was sitting on the bed and Long Yi was sitting on a small stool in Little Jing Kong. Xiao Heng's eyelashes trembled. Thinking about the matter of Long Yi looking at him just now, his ears slightly reddened and he said sternly, "You can't do that." Long Yi understood. Xiao Heng said again, "Other people can't do that to her." Long Yi looked at the sky and thought for a bit. He probably understood. Digression, Beauty Xiao, you can't look for Jiao Jiao again in the future. Long Yi heard. Lu, look for Jiao Jiao to look for Jiao Jiao. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/10857095. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. Chapter 574. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Gu Jiao slept until the afternoon. Long Yi had already been taken out by Xiao Heng, so only Gu Jiao was left in the room. Gu Jiao sat up, looked at the bed she was on, and pondered for a while. Oh, did I sleep up here? Today both the Imperial College and Qinghe Academy had classes, but Gu Qingfeng was busy helping Gu Jiao punish evil recently, so he asked for leave from the Imperial College on the grounds that he was not feeling well. Originally, he only asked for 1 day, but he changed it to 2 days without authorization. When Gu Jiao came out of the east room, he was chopping firewood in the backyard. When he saw Gu Jiao, he stopped chopping firewood and waved at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao walked over indifferently. What's the matter? Gu Qingfeng looked around and lowered his voice. Come here, I have something to tell you. What? Gu Jiao didn't go over. Gu Qingfeng clicked his tongue, put down the axe, and skillfully wiped his hands with a rag. Then he got close to Gu Jiao's ear and whispered to Gu Jiao. It's... Before he could finish his words, a tall figure descended from the sky, grabbed him by the collar, and threw him out. Gu Qingfeng, who was thrown to the tree branch, was dumbfounded. What? Gu Jiao was puzzled. How did this guy offend Long Yi? Not long after, Little Jing Kong came back from the Imperial College. Jiao Jiao, I have an exam today. Little Jing Kong ran to the backyard, took out his exam paper, and handed it to Gu Jiao. Unsurprisingly, it was another big A. Gu Jiao rubbed Jing Kong's little head. Jing Kong is great. Little Jing Kong lowered his head, touched his fingers and said shyly, Jiao Jiao, I want to kiss you. Then he was carried away by Long Yi. Gu Jiao looked at the back of the two people and touched her chin strangely. At this moment, Xiaoheng came back with a basket of eggs and handed it to Gu Jiao without any change in his expression. Granny Zhou, she said to thank you for curing her grandson's cold last time. Gu Jiao looked at him deeply. Is that so? Ah yes. Xiaoheng took the basket back. I'll put it in the kitchen. He walked past Gu Jiao's eyes. Gu Jiao turned around and chased after him. Narrowing her eyes, she followed him and asked, Did you say something to Long Yi? What did I say? Xiaoheng calmly put the basket on the stove, opened the small jar of eggs, and put the eggs one by one. Gu Jiao asked, Why didn't Long Yi let people come close to me? Xiaoheng put the eggs with his back facing Gu Jiao, and his lips unconsciously curled. He turned his head, and his face became expressionless again. Did he? Yes. Gu Jiao nodded her head. Xiaoheng said with a straight face, Maybe Long Yi was playing with them. Gu Jiao thought for a while. Oh. After Xiaoheng finished putting the last egg, he turned his head to look at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao was leaning against the stove, thinking about something. The setting sun slanted through the door, fell on her perfect face, and shone on her long eyelashes. Xiaoheng's eyes moved. That, N. Gu Jiao confusedly looked at him. Here. Xiaoheng pointed at her temple. Gu Jiao raised her hand to touch it, but she didn't feel anything. Xiaoheng walked over, stretched out his left hand, and plucked a small leaf that had fallen on Gu Jiao's temple. Two people were very close to each other, and their breaths intertwined with each other in the quiet room. Xiaoheng lowered his head and almost kissed her forehead. What is it? Gu Jiao looked up at him. Xiaoheng looked at her face in a daze, and with his heart beating like a drum, he tilted his head and gently pressed down on her. In the next second, a shadow flashed, and Xiaoheng was also taken away by Long Yi. Xiaoheng. Xiaoheng's other people. Other than me, all other people. Long Yi's other people. All other people. Gu Jiao went to the blacksmith shop in the afternoon, took a blueprint, and handed it to the blacksmith. The blacksmith looked at the strange blueprint and said with difficulty, We have never made this kind of thing before. Gu Jiao asked, Can you make it? The blacksmith said, I can make it, but it may not look as good as the one on your blueprint. Gu Jiao said, Let's make it first. Okay. Gu Jiao came out of the blacksmith shop and went to the medical center. She opened the small medicine box, looked at the full emergency medicine, and frowned. There are still no materials to make the socket. Do I really have to go and get resin? Just as she was mumbling to herself, the second master rushed into her courtyard in a hurry. Little Gu. Something big happened. Gu Jiao walked out of the room. What happened? The second master trembled with fear. I don't know. A patient treated in our medical center just now turned out to be an official of the Imperial Guards. Then his subordinate reported that something happened in the palace, and the Empress asked him to go to the palace immediately. In the Bixia Hall of the Imperial Palace, Princess Ning, who had been slapped down the stairs by Princess Xingyang the day before, was now holding Qin Shiyu hostage with a dagger. Beside her and behind her, there were a total of 10 experts on standby to prevent anyone from snatching Qin Shiyu away from her. A large number of Imperial Guards were lying in ambush outside the Bixia Hall, and the archers were also on standby. Princess Ning'an looked at Empress Xiao and said fearlessly, Don't act rashly. It's okay if you kill me, but no one can guarantee that I won't slip and cut your son's throat when I fall down. Empress Xiao never expected that Princess Ning'an would fight to the death with them so soon. She couldn't hide it anymore, so she didn't even bother to pretend to be fearless. Empress Xiao had to admit that ordinary people couldn't be as decisive as Ning'an. She was really a bold woman. After Princess Ning'an was put under house arrest in the Bixia Hall, she began to secretly evaluate the possibility of a comeback. Princess Xingyang showed her undeniable strength in the throne room. The emperor doted on her, but Xingyang wouldn't let her be. It was only a matter of time before she was exposed. Instead of waiting for death, it was better to take the initiative and catch them off guard. Mother, I'm scared. Boo-hoo. Qin Chuyu was so scared that he cried loudly. Empress Zhao's heart was broken. She wanted to tear this woman, who wouldn't even let her son go, into pieces. What would his brother do if he was here? His brother would definitely say, "Stop crying. Don't you feel ashamed when a man pees? Stop crying." Empress Zhao took a deep breath and said seriously, "You're a prince. Hold back your tears." Qin Chuyu was stunned at first, and then he cried even harder. "I can't hold it back. Boo-hoo." Empress Zhao was angry and heartbroken. She held back her emotions and looked coldly at Princess Ning'an. "What do you want?" Princess Ning'an said coldly, "Get the carriage ready and send us out of the city. Don't let anyone follow us, or I'll die with your son." Eunuch Su looked at Empress Zhao worriedly. Empress Zhao clenched her fists. "Get the carriage ready." Princess Ning'an said lightly, "Lianer, take Xianer out." Lianer was stunned by this scene. She looked at Princess Ning'an with red eyes as if it was the first day she met her. Princess Ning'an said angrily, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go." Lianer's body shook, and a bean-sized tear fell down. Yes, yes. She went back to the room in a daze and came to the bed, choking with sobs. Young master," she called several times, but Huang Fuxian didn't respond. She reached out and touched Huang Fuxian's forehead, and her expression changed. "Princess, young master is sick. His head is burning. Hurry up and get the imperial doctor for him." Empress Zhao comforted her. "Ning'an, calm down. The child's health is more important. I'll get the imperial doctor for you first. Let Xianer treat him." "No need." Princess Ning'an looked coldly at a master beside her. "Go and help." The master entered and quickly wrapped Huang Fuxian in a blanket and carried him to the wheelchair. The pale-faced Huang Fuxian was pushed out. Carriage. Princess Ning'an's dagger was pressed against Qin Chuyu's neck. "Ah!" Qin Chuyu screamed and cried. Empress Zhao's heart trembled. She gritted her teeth and said, "Su Qian, prepare a carriage for Princess Ning'an. The kind that Xianer can sit on." Eunuch Su went to prepare a special carriage. The master carried Huang Fuxian and the wheelchair onto the carriage. Princess Ning'an also got onto the carriage with Qin Chuyu. "Lianer, come up," she said. Lianer sat on the carriage with tears in her eyes. Ning'an lifted the curtain and said to Empress Zhao, "Don't let anyone follow. I'll cut off one of his fingers every time I see him." The seventh prince was kidnapped? Which city gate did he go out from? Xiao Heng asked Eunuch Qin, who came to report. Eunuch Qin said, according to the city guards, he went out from the West City Gate. The West City Gate. Xiao Heng got up and searched. Gu Jiao tacitly gave him a map. Xiao Heng nodded. "Thank you." He spread out the map and pointed at the official road outside the West City Gate. Greenback Path, Greenback Mountain, Phoenix Pavilion. Their horses should be tired when they reach Phoenix Pavilion. There's a relay station near Phoenix Pavilion. If they want to change horses, they might stop here. Gu Jiao asked. "What if they don't change horses?" Xiao Heng frowned. "If they don't change horses, it will be troublesome." It wasn't difficult to deal with Ning'an. However, she was a crazy woman. If she was forced into a corner, she would really hurt Qin Chuyu. Besides, Huang Fuxian was injured. If they really fought, it would be difficult to guarantee the safety of the two children. It was very dangerous to fight on the road. If they stopped, it would be easier to find flaws. The moon was dark and the wind was strong. A carriage was crazily galloping on the official road outside the West City Gate. There were 9 experts riding fast horses in front and behind the carriage. The expert driving the carriage said, "Princess, we've entered Greenback Mountain. 5 miles ahead is Phoenix Pavilion Relay Station. That's the only relay station in this area. The horses can't run anymore. Should we go to the relay station and change horses?" Qin Chuyu had cried himself to sleep and was held in Lianer's arms. Princess Ning'an said, "No change horses. Keep going. Someone is waiting for us in front." This meant that they wouldn't stop even if the horses died. "Yes." The expert driving the carriage responded. Cough, cough, cough. Huang Fuxian coughed and slowly opened his eyes. "My stomach hurts. I want to go to the toilet. Endure it for a while." I can't endure it. I'll vomit. Huang Fuxian said and suddenly spat out something. Princess Ningen frowned and looked at the filth on the ground with disgust. She said impatiently, "Go to the relay station." The carriage stopped at the relay station. Lian. Princess Ningen gave Lianer a look. Lian understood and pushed Huang Fuxian out of the back door of the carriage. The carriage was dirty and had to be cleaned up. Princess Ningen woke Qin Chiyu up. Qin Chiyu wanted to cry when he woke up. However, his voice was hoarse from crying and he couldn't cry. They got off the carriage. Princess Ningen said to Qin Chiyu, "You go to the washroom too. There won't be a place for you to pee on the way." Qin Chiyu had peed several times on the way. Each time, he would use a water bottle to catch it. Princess Ningen was almost suffocated. Princess Ningen asked an expert to go with the three of them. "Young master, I'll help you," the expert said. The washroom outside didn't have any special facilities. Huang Fuxian couldn't use the toilet by himself. Okay. Huang Fuxian didn't refuse. The expert carried Huang Fuxian into the washroom. Lianer and Qin Chiyu stood guard in the cold wind. It was unknown whether it was because of the cold or because of fear. Soon, Huang Fuxian's fierce voice came from the washroom. "Don't touch me. Don't touch me again. I'll kill you." The experts nearby all shook their heads. Their young master's temperament was so unpredictable. What everyone didn't know was that the fierce shout covered the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground and a painful groan. The expert had already collapsed in the washroom. Huang Fuxian lay on top of him, his face covered in blood. "Lianer, come in," he said calmly. "Hey." Lianer brought Qin Chiyu in. Seeing the scene inside, Lianer's eyes widened. Qin Chiyu was dumbfounded and screamed, "Ah!" Fortunately, his throat was already hoarse, so he couldn't make a sound. "Young master, what's wrong?" Lianer quickly squatted down and looked worriedly at Huang Fuxian, whose face and hands were covered in blood. Huang Fuxian grabbed Lianer's hand tightly and said weakly, "Lianer, take him away." Lianer shook her head in fear. I can't take him away. I don't know the way. I can't outrun them. I can't." Huang Fuxian tried to hold back the dizziness in his head. "You can do it, Lianer. The people from the palace will be here soon. If you run east, the people from the imperial court will chase after you and you don't want to be discovered. You'll take that path. I'll tell them that you killed this person, and that you took Qin Chiyu west. They'll chase after you. So, you have to be quick. What about you, young master? I'm her son. I'll be fine. Hurry up. It'll be too late." Lianer's tears fell. She gritted her teeth and carried Huang Fuxian on her back. "We'll leave together." Huang Fuxian closed his eyes. "Leave together? We can't leave." Qin Chiyu ran out with a whoosh. Lianer was horrified. She was about to chase after Qin Chiyu when she saw him push the wheelchair in. His legs were shaking, and so were his hands that were pushing the wheelchair. Huang Fuxian sneered weakly. "You're so scared of me. You still want to take me away. Aren't you afraid that I'll eat you on the way?" Qin Chiyu's teeth chattered as he cried hoarsely. If you really want to eat me, just take a small bite. Don't eat too much. I'm scared of pain. What took you so long?" In the carriage that had been cleaned up, Princess Ning pressed her aching forehead. "Go and see what happened." An expert went to the washroom in the backyard. The wheelchair was still there. The curtain of the washroom was tightly shut. The expert shouted inside, "Are you guys done?" No one responded. The expert frowned and walked over with large strides. He lifted the curtain. "Princess, they're gone." On the bumpy mountain road, Lianer carried Huang Fuxian on her back and walked with difficulty. Qin Chiyu followed behind them, panting heavily. "Go forward, to the left. To the right. Go forward." Huang Fuxian weakly pointed the way for Lianer. He couldn't hold on any longer. Lianer asked anxiously, "Young master, where should we go now?" "Go east, young master. Young master." There. Princess Ning An's experts caught up. "Let's go." Lianer carried Qin Chiyu and randomly chose a mountain road. She ran forward with all her strength. But how could they be a match for those people? When they passed by a wooden bridge, those people used Qinggong to block their way. The way they came was also blocked by a few people. The river under the wooden bridge was turbulent. If they accidentally fell, they would be instantly swept away by the river. An expert shouted sternly, "Lienor, how dare you kidnap the young master?" Lienor looked at the experts on both sides in horror, and pretended to be calm. "Don't come over. Otherwise, I'll jump down with the young master." "How dare you?" The expert raised his saber, and rushed over to Lienor. Lienor was so scared that she didn't dare to move. At the critical moment, a figure so fast that only an afterimage was left in the night. It suddenly appeared behind the expert, and kicked him down. He fell into the water, and was swept away by the rapid waves without even struggling. These 8 experts were left to Long Yi. Gu Jiao walked towards Lienor and the other 2 people in the middle of the wooden bridge. Lienor's eyes became hot. "Dr. Gu." She carried Huang Fuxian on her back and ran towards Gu Jiao with Qin Qiyu, who knew that there was ice in the gully of the wooden bridge. She accidentally stepped on it and slipped. Her whole body fell out. Gu Jiao reached out to grab her, but she only caught her. Huang Fuxian on her back fell out. Gu Jiao almost didn't think. She jumped and tightly hugged Huang Fuxian before falling into the turbulent river. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that you can't find online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1085494338. HTML Genius memorized this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. Chapter 575. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Huang Fuxian woke up to the sound of saliva dripping from his mouth. When he opened his eyes, he found himself lying in an unfamiliar room. The ceiling was simple and crude, and the walls were neither like a palace nor a farmhouse. At the end of the room was a large wardrobe, and next to the wardrobe was a desk. On the opposite side of the bed was a window, through which bright sunlight shone. Perhaps people have a tendency to attract light, so Huang Fuxian subconsciously looked in the direction of the light. It was so bright that he had to close his eyes for a moment. Squeak, squeak. The sound of saliva came again. Huang Fuxian paused for a moment, and let himself adapt to the light. When he opened his eyes again, he saw a cradle near the window. The cradle was originally higher than the bed, but the guardrail around it was hollow, so Huang Fuxian could clearly see the baby in the cradle. He was eating his fingers. The squeak squeak sound came from his mouth. In a strange environment, in a quiet room, because of this little life that didn't cry or make noise, there was a different kind of intimacy and vitality. Suddenly, a young figure stepped in. He looked at Huang Fuxian on the bed, who turned his head to look at the cradle. Then he followed Huang Fuxian's gaze and looked at Gu Xiaobao in the cradle. He smiled and walked over to pinch Gu Xiaobao's face. Xiaobao woke up? Gu Xiaobao gave him a small look, then continued to eat his fingers. "Why are you so obedient? You don't cry when there's no one around," he said with a smile, then turned to look at Huang Fuxian. His expression was a bit more serious. "You're awake too?" Huang Fuxian's gaze fell on his face. Song Dafu. Song Dafu was surprised. "You know me?" Huang Fuxian was still very weak. He nodded his head lightly and said, "We came back from the frontier together. I heard someone call you that on the road." Song Dafu suddenly understood. He smiled and said, "Ah, so that's the case. You have a good memory. I don't remember anyone calling me that." "I'm in the carriage," Huang Fuxian said. Even though they were in a carriage, there were more than 100 people in the medical team. To be able to remember a person's cries just by hearing them, it was enough to show that Huang Fuxian's memory was not ordinary. "Maybe it's because I'm more handsome?" "Huang Fuxian, your square face is easy to recognize." Dr. Song. Dr. Song cleared his throat. How do you feel? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Huang Fuxian shook his head slightly. Only then did he realize that he wasn't feeling too uncomfortable. The wound still hurt slightly, but it was much better than before. Dr. Song seemed to be aware of his doubts, so he pointed his finger to his leg and explained. Our boss has operated on you. The bone was abraded and the wound was stitched up. Then why don't I feel anything? Ever since he was young, Huang Fuxian had gone through bone grinding countless times. Every time, he was in excruciating pain. Not only was it physical torture, but it was also a mental humiliation. Therefore, this time, he would rather die than suffer such pain. Dr. Song smiled and said, I gave you anesthesia, so of course you don't feel anything. Does your wound still hurt? It doesn't hurt too much. Huang Fuxian shook his head slightly. Because he was too shocked, he forgot to say, Who asked you to treat me? I don't want to be treated. That's good. Our boss said that if you wake up, you should take the medicine. Dr. Song poured a glass of water and handed him a few anti-inflammatory and hemostatic pills. Huang Fuxian was so confused that he ate it in a daze. After eating, he remembered and asked, Where is this place? Dr. Song said, Blue Water Alley, our boss's house. You know our boss, he is Dr. Gu. Huang Fuxian suddenly remembered that Lien had fallen. He seemed to have fallen off the bridge. He thought he was dead for sure, but in his daze, he vaguely saw a slender figure jump down and pounce on him. With a plop, they fell into the water. He didn't remember what happened after that. He fainted. Huang Fuxian asked, Was it Dr. Gu who brought me back? Dr. Song said, Yes. Speaking of which, you are really lucky. I heard that the river was very turbulent that night. When you fell in, you were washed away by the waves. Fortunately, our boss is a good swimmer. Huang Fuxian lowered his eyes and asked, Where is she? Dr. Song sighed. After she saved you. Huang Fuxian's eyelashes trembled and he looked at him. Dr. Song continued. She went to the clinic. There was a fight in the capital. 7 or 8 people were injured. She was so busy that her feet didn't touch the ground, so she asked me to come and take care of you. Oh. Huang Fuxian's expression loosened slightly. Little brother. You woke up. Little Mushroom came. Dr. Song smiled and said to little Jing Kong. Jing Kong is here? You talk to your little brother for a while. I will take Xiaobao out first. Little Jing Kong nodded. Dr. Song took Gu Xiaobao, who was eating his finger, out. Little Jing Kong came to the bedside and looked at Huang Fuxian with a pair of big black eyes. Little brother, you have slept for 2 days. How do you feel? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Huang Fuxian, do all the people here ask the same questions? No. Huang Fuxian said carelessly. Little Jing Kong lay on the edge of the bed and looked at him. Then are you hungry? Huang Fuxian said no. You are amazing. You haven't eaten for 2 days, and you are not hungry. Little Jing Kong pointed to the bed under him and said, You are sleeping on my bed. Is it comfortable? Huang Fuxian said, Your bed is so hard. Huang Fuxian likes soft beds. Little Jing Kong was used to sleeping on hard beds in the temple. Coincidentally, Xiaoheng also slept on hard beds in the past few years when he was wandering among the common people. Little Jing Kong's small body lay on the bed and his little feet kicked the ground. Jiao Jiao's bed is very soft, but I can't let you sleep on it. Only I can sleep on Jiao Jiao's bed. Huang Fuxian glanced at him from the corner of his eyes and muttered angrily. Who wants to sleep on it? Little Jing Kong suddenly took out a piece of custard from his pouch. Little brother, do you want to eat this? Huang Fuxian turned his face. I don't eat this kind of thing. Little Jing Kong stuffed the custard into his mouth. A mouthful of rich milky fragrance spread between his lips and teeth, accompanied by a light sweetness. Huang Fuxian was suddenly stunned. Little Jing Kong tilted his head and asked, Is it delicious? Jiao Jiao made it. Huang Fuxian didn't say anything and just vaguely said, Yes. On the other side, Gu Jiao finally finished treating the last patient. She didn't have time to rest, and went back to the courtyard to change into night clothes. She was about to go out when she was blocked by Princess Xinyang's carriage at the door. Yujin opened the curtain for Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang looked at Gu Jiao indifferently and asked, "Where are you going with this outfit?" Ahem. A man's cough came from the carriage. "Shut up." Princess Xinyang turned her head and said. Xiaoheng shut his mouth. "Come in," Princess Xinyang said to Gu Jiao. "Oh." Gu Jiao took the red tasseled spear and got into the carriage. Yujin pursed her lips and smiled. "I'll go get some tea." Then she got out of the carriage. Only Princess Xinyang, Xiaoheng, and Gu Jiao were left in the carriage. Xiaoheng was dressed in casual clothes and was caught by Princess Xinyang halfway. Then Princess Xinyang came to catch Gu Jiao. Princess Xinyang looked at the red tasseled spear in Gu Jiao's hand with a sullen face. "What? Are you going to destroy that group of people's nest?" Xiaoheng opened his mouth. "Princess Xinyang, I'm not asking you." Xiaoheng shut himself up again. Gu Jiao blinked. "Didn't Princess Ning'an run away? I'll go catch her." "I'm not here anymore, right? Do I need you to catch her? You're so young, yet you worry so much." Princess Xinyang said coldly and reached out to take the red tasseled spear from Gu Jiao's hand. She tried to grab it, but it didn't budge. She looked embarrassed. I'll do it." Xiaoheng held the red tasseled spear wrapped in cloth with both hands, and took it from his wife and mother. Hiss. It was really heavy. He almost didn't catch it. But he couldn't show his fear in front of his wife and mother. Xiaoheng's expression didn't change as he slowly placed the red tasseled spear on his lap. "Is it heavy?" Princess Xinyang chuckled. Xiaoheng nonchalantly said, "It's not heavy at all. This carriage is too small. Otherwise, I could show you a few moves." Princess Xinyang snorted coldly and said, "I let her go on purpose that night. I know who I let go. I can't help much in the war, but I'm more than enough to deal with a few remnants. You just wait at home." Gu Jiao said, "The people of Yen seem to have a way to deal with the dragon shadow guards." Princess Xinyang grunted. "I know, don't worry." Xiaoheng didn't move. Since he didn't move, Gu Jiao also didn't move. Princess Xinyang said to Xiaoheng, "What are you standing there for? Why aren't you getting off?" Xiaoheng smiled. "I just want to spend more time with you." Princess Xinyang said to Gu Jiao, "He can't carry it anymore." Xiaoheng. How could she expose her son like this? Gu Jiao curved her lips and got off the carriage with the red tasseled spear. After Princess Xinyang left, Gu Jiao asked Xiaoheng, "I really don't need to go?" Xiaoheng shook his head. "No, she has 4 dragon shadow guards in addition to Long Yi. That's enough to catch Ning, and Princess Xinyang didn't let Ning'an go, because she wanted to know the whereabouts of the people of Yen. Little Nine had already tracked them down. Princess Xinyang wanted to know what other cards Ning'an had. Princess Xinyang sent 2 dragon shadow guards, and a secret guard from the princess mansion to keep an eye on Ning and was very vigilant. She circled around the mountain forest for a day and a night before entering a seemingly unremarkable cave. After that, she arrived at a secret camp that looked like a peach forest. There were a total of 100 experts in the camp. This should be the nest that Imperial concubine Jing left for Ning, and Princess Xinyang took Long Yi, for dragon shadow guards, and a group of secret guards from the princess mansion to kill their way into the camp and capture Ning'an. In addition, they found a small box in the secret room. "Open it," Princess Xinyang said to Ning'an. Ning'an sneered. "Open it yourself." Princess Xinyang looked at the wooden box on the table. "You think I can't break it open?" Ning'an provoked. "Go ahead." "It seems you can't break it open casually," Princess Xinyang said to the secret guard. "Take the box back and open it with the key." Princess Ning'an's expression changed. Princess Xinyang laughed. "Your key has been remade. Are you surprised?" Princess Ning'an's eyes were full of surprise. "You," Princess Xinyang said. "Take her back. Don't put her under house arrest. Just throw her into prison." Ning'an threatened. "You dare? I'm a princess." "What a coincidence, so am I." Princess Xinyang looked down at Ning'an, who was kneeling on the ground by the dragon shadow guards. "You better not try to escape this time, or I'll break your legs." What Long Yi heard was, "Ha ha ha, I'll break your legs." Long Yi rushed over and broke Ning'an's legs. Ning'an. Princess Xinyang. This time, Princess Xinyang didn't take her back to the palace. Instead, she locked her up in the Supreme Court's prison. Afterwards, she took the small box to Jadewater Alley. The key that Gu Jiao had made from the mold had been completed. It could really open the box. After opening it, they found that this seemingly simple wooden box actually had a very complicated mechanism. If they forcefully broke it open or pried it open, the mechanism would destroy the contents of the box. Let's see what Imperial concubine Jing left for Ning'an, Gu Jiao said. Okay. Xiao Heng took out the contents of the box. There were several account books, which recorded Imperial concubine Jing's dealings with some of the court officials over the years. These officials are the contacts Imperial concubine Jing left for Ning'an. Princess Xinyang paused, then continued. These account books are very important. With them we can threaten those officials. Xiao Heng flipped down and said, There's also a treasure map. Gu Jiao made a sound of surprise. There's really a treasure map? Xiao Heng looked at Gu Jiao in amusement. It's a lie. It's banknotes. Roughly calculating, there's a few 100,000 taels. Gu Jiao's eyes lit up. Princess Xinyang took in all of Gu Jiao's little eyes and helplessly rubbed her forehead. Minister Xing and the others can overturn the verdict. Xiao Heng nodded. That's right. We've already gotten what we wanted. There's no need to worry about anything else. Princess Xinyang stood up. It's time for Ning'an's crimes to be announced to the world. Princess. Yujin came to the door and reported. His Majesty is awake. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1085285002. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website. Chapter 576. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. Marquis Ding and Fu. Gu Chengfeng had just finished bathing and was covered in sweat. It was reasonable to say that he should be very hot, but he inexplicably shivered. What's wrong? Gu Qinglin asked him. Gu Chengfeng scratched his head strangely. I don't know. I suddenly felt a chill down my spine. The emperor was awake, so Princess Xinyang naturally had to enter the palace to see him. Xiao Heng and Gu Jiao also stood up. Princess Xinyang looked at the two and indifferently said, You two don't need to go. Stay at home and wait for news. After doing so many things and even forging an imperial edict, who knew what the emperor was thinking? Would he vent his anger on them? Princess Xinyang decided to take the lead and wait until she was certain that the front was safe before calling the two little ones into the palace. Princess Xinyang took Eugene and sat in the carriage. Xiao Heng accompanied her to the door and asked, You're not bringing Long Yi? Princess Xinyang indifferently said, I'm not bringing him. I always listen half the time. The emperor had been unconscious for a few days and his face was very pale. When Princess Xinyang arrived at Pure Flower's palace, Empress Xiao had just fed the emperor some porridge. The emperor said to Empress Xiao, Zhen is fine here. Go take care of little Qi. Zhen has something to say to Xinyang. Xinxie will withdraw. Empress Xiao put down the bowl of porridge and walked out. Princess Xinyang slightly bowed to Empress Xiao. The emperor's entire body was sore and weak. He didn't even have the strength to raise his arm. He sighed and ordered Eunuch Wei and the others. All of you withdraw. Yes. Eunuch Wei secretly glanced at Princess Xinyang. Strange, did she shave her hand hair today? He couldn't see her Adam's apple. The rash on her face had completely disappeared. Eunuch Wei secretly muttered as he swept his gaze over Princess Xinyang's clothes. Yu Jin's eyes darkened. Eunuch Wei. Eunuch Wei acted as if he had been hit in the head and quickly rolled out. What's wrong? Princess Xinyang asked. Eugene wanted to speak but hesitated. It was mainly because she found it difficult to speak. Eugene said softly, Forget it, I'll tell Princess later. Princess, please see His Majesty first. Princess Xinyang came before the dragon bed and bowed slightly. Your Majesty. This was the difference between Princess Xinyang and Princess Ning'an. Princess Xinyang would never call him imperial brother. Even when he was a prince, Princess Xinyang would always call him sixth prince. The emperor glanced at the stool beside him and said, Sit down. Thank you, Your Majesty. Princess Xinyang sat down. Eugene stood guard behind her. Even the emperor had dismissed the palace servants. Logically speaking, Princess Xinyang should have dismissed Eugene as well. Princess Xinyang did not do so because she was not used to being alone with a man. Except for Xiaoheng and Long Yi. The emperor did not know her habits, but he did not care about her, and kept Eugene. Princess Xinyang said. The imperial physician said that His Majesty would be unconscious for a few more days. I didn't expect him to wake up so soon. The emperor gritted his teeth. It's all thanks to that Gu brat. What? Princess Xinyang didn't understand. Nothing. The emperor coughed lightly and said, I know almost everything that has happened in the palace recently. The empress also told me about Lulang. Princess Xinyang looked at the emperor. Since Your Majesty knows, what do you plan to do? The emperor sighed with a complicated expression and said, I won't pursue the matter of the forged imperial edict. Princess Xinyang frowned. Won't pursue the matter? The emperor nodded and said earnestly, That's right, I won't pursue the matter. I won't pursue the matter of her scheming. After all, no matter what, she is still my... Your Majesty, what is that? Princess Xinyang interrupted him and pointed behind the emperor. The emperor turned his head to look. Princess Xinyang suddenly grabbed the jade pillow on the dragon bed and knocked the emperor unconscious. Eugene was shocked. Princess, why did you knock His Majesty unconscious? Princess Xinyang said angrily, If I didn't knock His Majesty unconscious, would I be waiting for His Majesty to pardon that woman? She did so many crazy things, and His Majesty actually didn't pursue the matter. Why don't I deal with her first? Kill first and report later. After that, His Majesty can do whatever he wants with her. Princess, what do you want to say? Princess Xinyang asked. Eugene said embarrassedly, I think His Majesty wasn't talking about her, but him. Eugene took her hand and wrote his name on her palm. Princess Xinyang said strangely, him? Eugene said, yes. Think about it before you asked His Majesty what he planned to do. What did he say? Princess Xinyang recalled. He pretty much knows everything that has happened in the palace recently. The Empress also told him about Lulang. Eugene said, what else could it be about Lulang? The young duke's background. The forged imperial edict that His Majesty was talking about was that the young duke forged an imperial edict for you to govern the country, and had someone pretend to be you to enter the palace, as well as secretly plotting some actions. His Majesty said that he wouldn't pursue the young duke's actions. Princess Xinyang was afraid of ropes after being bitten once. The emperor was bewitched by that pair of mother and daughter. She had already lost her basic confidence in His Majesty, so she thought he said he wouldn't pursue Ning'an. Princess Xinyang looked at the emperor, who had fainted from her pillow, and her teeth ached. I was too careless. The prison was a place to imprison felons. It was heavily guarded and filled with traps. In the most heavily guarded cell, Ning'an, whose legs had been broken, grabbed onto a dirty wooden board and screamed at the top of her lungs. Let me out. I want to see His Majesty. I want to see the Empress Dowager. I'm His Majesty's most beloved sister. If His Majesty and the Empress Dowager find out, they'll definitely sentence you to death. The jailers were as cold as iron. Not a single one moved. She grabbed a steamed bun that was brought in, and threw it at one of the jailers. The steamed bun had long turned into stone. It hit the jailer's back, but he didn't move. Are you all dead? I'm Princess Ning'an. I want to see His Majesty. I want to see His Majesty. His Majesty won't come to see you. Give up. A majestic and domineering voice slowly sounded from the other end of the corridor. The narrow cell was instantly filled with an aura that made people submit. The jailers bowed in unison. Princess Ning'an stared blankly at Empress Dowager Zhuang, who was dressed in a black and gold phoenix robe, walking towards her with a cold expression. Empress Dowager Zhuang looked at her, who was covered in blood. There was no trace of pity in her eyes. Princess Ning'an's heart thumped. "Mother," Empress Dowager Zhuang said expressionlessly. "I said before, don't call me mother." Ning'an felt wronged. "Mother, I'm your Ning'an. If I don't call you mother, what should I call you?" Empress Dowager Zhuang said indifferently. "Forget it. If you want to call me that, then call me that. You won't be able to call me that for long anyway." Ning'an raised her head with tears in her eyes. "Mother, what do you mean by that?" Empress Dowager Zhuang looked down at her. "You're so smart. How could you not understand what I mean?" Ning'an cried. "Imperial Mother, Xinjiang harmed me. They all harmed me." Empress Dowager Zhuang said coldly. "What did they do to you? Did they cause you to betray the prince consort and return to the capital for revenge? Did they cause you to take over concubine Jing's power and collude with the people of Yen to harm the meritorious officials of Zhao? Or did they cause you to assassinate His Majesty and frame me for it?" A trace of panic flashed through Ning'an's eyes. "Mother, don't believe them." Empress Dowager Zhuang looked at her coldly. "You don't have to pretend to be innocent. I didn't come here to hear you admit the truth. I don't care whether you admit it or not. If I say you're guilty, then you're guilty." Ning'an gritted her teeth and complained in a choked voice. "Mother, you're biased. Mother wasn't like this before. Mother used to love Ning'an the most. Since that girl appeared, Mother doesn't care about Ning'an anymore." Empress Dowager Zhuang said seriously. "So what if I'm biased? Do I need your permission?" Ning'an's mouth trembled. She never expected Empress Dowager Zhuang to be so direct, so magnanimous, and so merciless. Ning'an's tears fell down. "But mother, I'm your Ning'an." Empress Dowager Zhuang looked at her coldly and asked word by word. "Are you really Ning'an?" Princess Ning'an's pupils shrank. Gu Jiao didn't need to go to the palace. After coming out of the medical center, she went back to Jadewater Alley with Xiaoheng. Huang Fuxian woke up and was sitting in a wheelchair in the west room in a daze. Little Jing Kong secretly glanced at him several times. "What's wrong with him?" Gu Jiao stood in the front yard and looked at Huang Fuxian through the half-open window. Little Jing Kong sighed like a little adult. Little brother misses his mother. His mother doesn't treat him well, and even hit him. But he's still worried about his mother. "I just thought that if Jiao Jiao hit me, I'd still like Jiao Jiao." If Ning'an was convicted, Huang Fuxian would be the one who would suffer the most. "I'll go and see him," Xiaoheng said. "Forget it. I'll go and see his injury." Gu Jiao handed little Jing Kong to Xiaoheng and stepped into the west room. The sun had already set, and the west room was dark. Gu Jiao took out a match. "Don't light the lamp," Huang Fuxian said. Digression, asking for a guaranteed monthly ticket for little Xianxian. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1085274440. HTML Genius memorized the website address www.zhhbqg.com. Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 577. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao put away the torch and slowly came to Huang Fuxian's side. At this moment, Huang Fuxian seemed to be sitting there calmly. Little did he know that he had gone through a hair-raising rescue. His broken limbs were already injured, and after soaking in the river, a large area of the wound had festered. Jing Kong said that he had slept for 2 days, but that was because Jing Kong had only seen him sleep for 2 days after he moved here. Before that, it took 3 days to rescue him in the clinic and wait for him to pass the critical period. Does it still hurt? Gu Jiao asked. You're wound. Huang Fuxian paused. He wanted to say that it didn't hurt, but he hesitated and said truthfully, a little. There was a slightly choked nasal sound. Gu Jiao pretended that she didn't hear it. Let me see. It was dark now, and there was no light in the room, so she couldn't see anything. Huang Fuxian didn't refuse. Gu Jiao pulled up his trousers. Huang Fuxian was not used to it, but he tried his best to resist. Anyway, he couldn't see. That was what he thought. Unexpectedly, Gu Jiao took out a small flashlight from a small medicine box from her pocket and turned it on. Huang Fuxian's expression changed. Didn't I tell you not to use the light? Gu Jiao said. This is not an oil lamp, it's a flashlight. This is called turning on the flashlight. Huang Fuxian was speechless. Huang Fuxian wanted to say that she was cheating, but then he was attracted by the little thing that could shine. Where did this luminous pearl come from? Huang Fuxian had seen things that could shine other than fire and luminous pearls, but they were not as bright as this. Do you want to know? Gu Jiao asked. No. Huang Fuxian stubbornly turned his face away. Gu Jiao smiled and knelt down on one knee. She held the flashlight with one hand and unwrapped his gauze with the other. Huang Fuxian suddenly grabbed her hand and said while holding his breath, very ugly. Gu Jiao looked up and stared into his eyes. Her gaze was as pure and clean as little Jing Kong's, without a trace of disdain. However, compared to the naivety of little Jing Kong, there was a hint of convincing calmness in her eyes. Huang Fuxian's eyelashes fluttered as he slowly released his grip. Gu Jiao removed the layers of gauze, revealing the wound that she had stitched up. The recovery is pretty good. There is no postoperative infection, but you still need to take your medicine on time. After Gu Jiao finished speaking, she went back to the east room to get a small medicine box and carefully changed the medicine for him. You're not in too much pain, so I won't give you painkillers. Huang Fuxian replied gloomily. Gu Jiao finished bandaging him and started to clean up the medical supplies. What happened to that little fatty? Huang Fuxian suddenly spoke. Gu Jiao said, Are you talking about Qin Chiyu? He went back to the palace. Lian is also there. The Empress has something to ask her, so she won't make things difficult for her. What happened that night was dangerous. After she and Huang Fuxian fell into the water, she stabbed the dagger into a rock in the middle of the river. Long Yi killed those men in black in a few seconds and flew down to pull her and Huang Fuxian out of the water. After that, they went back to the capital together. Huang Fuxian turned his head and his gaze fell on her chin. He didn't see it when she was squatting. Now that she stood up, the stitched wound was exposed to Huang Fuxian's sight. Huang Fuxian was stunned. Your chin. Gu Jiao didn't care and said, I scraped it. The wound was on the inside of her chin and was very hidden. Huang Fuxian had sharp eyes, otherwise he wouldn't have seen it. Huang Fuxian looked down and pinched his trousers with his fingertips. Did you hit it underwater? Gu Jiao faintly replied. The water splashed in the night and she couldn't see clearly. Only when her chin was scraped did Gu Jiao realize that there was a rock there. Huang Fuxian said, It's not worth it for someone like me. Gu Jiao didn't say anything and continued to busy herself with the work at hand. The room was very quiet. From time to time, the sound of fireworks could be heard coming from next door and the front yard. Xiaoba was gnawing on Gu Yan's shoes again. Xiaojie was with it. The other 7 chickens obediently returned to their cages. Next door, Uncle Zhao was scolding his youngest son. In the alley, Aunt Lu was chasing geese. Granny Zhou's family was frying smelly mandarin fish again. The stench drifted here. Huang Fuxian looked at Gu Jiao's busy little figure again. He didn't know why, but he suddenly had a strange feeling in his heart. When I was young, she was very good to me. When Gu Jiao finished cleaning, Huang Fuxian spoke again. She always took me out to play. She would cook good food for me. She would also carry me on her back when she went to help the victims. In my memory, the most I did was lie on her back with her, giving porridge and herding goats with her. Is life at the frontier so hard? Gu Jiao had been to the frontier before. Naturally, she knew that the people there were very poor. She also heard that Princess Ning'an didn't have any royal baggage and suffered with the people. But didn't this expose Ning'an's true colors? It couldn't help but make people suspect that the so-called suffering was just a show. I don't think it's hard, Huang Fuxian said. That's true, Gu Jiao said. When they were so poor in the countryside, Jing Kong never complained about the hardships at home. Sometimes what a child wanted was very simple. Huang Fuxian looked at the obscure and boundless night sky. But then everything changed. Gu Jiao looked at him. Huang Fuxian's eyes were fixed on the brightest star in the night sky, as if he was reminiscing some distant memory. Since my legs were broken, she seemed to be a different person. She didn't dare to get close to me anymore. She didn't like to carry me, hug me, or let me sleep with her. She said that she was afraid of pressing on my wounds. I was only 5 years old at the time. I didn't understand. As I grew older, I realized that she wasn't afraid. She was disgusted. She hated my broken body. She hated that I could no longer be a normal child. She didn't even want to be with me. Every time I was grinding my bones, I hoped that she could be by my side. She didn't need to hug me. She just needed to hold my hand. But she didn't. Not even once. Gu Jiao seemed to understand. A large part of Huang Fuxian's disgust for himself came from his parents, especially Princess Ning'an's disgust. It destroyed all his self-esteem and confidence. Compared to taking away his legs, Princess Ning'an's various kinds of violence caused a devastating blow to him. Why didn't his mother love him? Was it because he didn't have legs? Then what was the meaning of his life? Gu Jiao looked at him and said, "She treated you like this. Do you still feel sad for her?" Huang Fuxian was silent for a moment before he said in a low voice, "She is my mother." In the dark prison, Empress Dowager Zhuang stood in the corridor with a calm expression. She didn't take a step closer. Eunuch Qin had already taken the bailiffs to another place, leaving only a few trusted subordinates to guard. Empress Dowager Zhuang said, "Tell me, when did you become Ning'an?" Most people in the world couldn't tear down their face and break the window paper. But Empress Dowager Zhuang wasn't like this. She didn't have a trace of indecisiveness. If she wanted to say something, she would say it directly. Ning'an lay on the ground, raised her head, and looked at Empress Dowager Zhuang with a faint smile. "I am Ning'an, mother," Empress Dowager Zhuang said coldly. "At this point, you still won't admit it." Ning'an looked surprised. "What do I have to admit? I am Ning'an. Ning'an is me. Has mother become muddle-headed? You don't even remember the daughter you raised? If mother has changed your mind, just say it. If you don't love Ning'an, just say it. Why do you have to use this method to humiliate Ning'an?" Empress Dowager Zhuang wasn't angered by her. She just looked at her condescendingly, as if she was looking at the last struggle of an ant. Ning'an laughed under Empress Dowager Zhuang's gaze. She laughed until her shoulders trembled. "Mother, your ability to frame people hasn't changed at all. You framed my mother like this, and now you're framing me." Empress Dowager Zhuang didn't argue with her. She just let her laugh and talk to herself. Ning'an's every punch seemed to hit cotton. She grabbed the wooden board of the cell and squeezed her cheek tightly in the gap between the boards. "Mother said I'm not Ning'an. Do you have evidence? Mother, look at my face. Isn't it Ning'an's face?" "Pa." Empress Dowager Zhuang threw a stack of letters on the corridor in front of Ning'an. Ning'an's gaze moved down. She slowly reached out and took the letters through the gap of the cell door. Using the dim light in the corridor, she carefully read them. Every time she read a page, her face changed a bit. Halfway through, she suddenly tore up the letters like crazy. "Nonsense. Nonsense. It's all nonsense. I am Ning'an. I am Ning'an." She was so emotional that the veins on her forehead popped out. Empress Dowager Zhuang glanced at her and said neither quickly nor slowly, "Well, why don't I tell you a story? Where should I start? Why don't I start with the experience of a daughter of an aristocratic family? This daughter of an aristocratic family was intelligent and courageous since she was young. She was also born with a good appearance. However, her birth mother wasn't favored. She was also repeatedly bullied by her concubine-born sisters at home. Once, on the way to the temple to burn incense, she happened to meet a master. The master and she felt like old friends at first sight. After a few exchanges, they became close friends. After a year of contact, the master successfully convinced her friend to join a civil organization called the Red Lotus Society. The Red Lotus Society was actually another identity of the remnants of the previous dynasty. This daughter unsurprisingly became a death warrior of the remnants of the previous dynasty. She was ordered to enter the palace to get close to the emperor. Her initial goal was to become the empress or the most favored concubine of the emperor. She wanted to give birth to the emperor's son, support him as the crown prince, and then take the emperor's life. In this way, the country fell into the hands of the remnants of the previous dynasty. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. She didn't become the empress or the favored concubine. Even the emperor didn't like her very much. She could only cling to the empress's thigh. The empress painfully lost a daughter. It was also a coincidence that she was pregnant only 1 month later than the empress. Thus, she had a plan and secretly prepared a medicine to induce labor, so that the child would be born prematurely and on the same day as the empress child. However, no one knew that in her stomach, there was another child. They were only separated by 2 hours, but they were born 2 days after each other. 2 children never cry together. After the elder sister cries, the younger sister cries. After the younger sister cries, the elder sister cries. To outsiders, it sounds like there was only one child crying. The midwife who delivered the babies was her trusted aide. To be exact, she was a trusted aide arranged by that expert. The fate of these 2 children was determined from the moment they were born. One stayed in the palace, and the other was carried out. They would be 2 perfect chess pieces, even more perfect than the empress. However, who stayed in the palace to be the princess, and who was carried out to be the death warrior? The empress kept the elder sister, who was born first, because the child was already lying in her arms and had her first sip of milk. She couldn't let go of the child. She didn't even look at the other child and cruelly had someone carry her out. Ningen covered her ears. "Don't say it, don't say it." Everyone said that the empress loved the little princess because she was born on the same day as her daughter, as if her daughter was reincarnated. However, the empress loved her because she was indeed a beautiful and cute child. It had nothing to do with the so-called birthday. That child was lively and active. She seemed to be fearless, but in fact, she was afraid of this and that. She was simply a paper tiger. She was afraid of the dark, very, very afraid. However, sometimes she didn't seem to be afraid. She liked to eat chestnuts, but occasionally she would hate them. The empress only thought that she was a child and didn't take it to heart. The empress loved the child, but do you know when the empress truly decided to live up to the child for the rest of her life? Ningen subconsciously pricked up her ears. Empress Dowager Zhuang said. It was one night when the empress was banished to the cold palace. The empress fell ill and no imperial doctor dared to come and treat her. That night, lightning flashed and thunder roared. The empress lay alone on the bed in the cold palace, and felt that she might die like this. However, at this time, a thin figure climbed over the wall of the cold palace and came in. She pushed open the door and the thunder and lightning chased after her. Her thin figure could be blown down by the wind at any time, but she was not afraid. She rushed into the room and threw herself into the empress's arms. She said to the empress, "Mother, I've come to see you. Mother, don't be afraid. Ningen will be with you." Ningen's body suddenly stopped. Empress Dowager Zhuang's eyes flashed with memories. It was at that time that the child ran for her in the thunder and lightning. The child's hand was pierced when she climbed over the wall. The child fell many times on the road, and the child's knees were bruised. The empress said to herself that she would love her for a lifetime. Ningen's eyes widened in disbelief. That child, even if it's just once, tell the empress she is not Ningen, she is Ningen's sister. Empress Dowager Zhuang choked and clenched her fingers under her wide sleeves. Ningen's eyes gradually filled with tears as she stared blankly at Empress Dowager Zhuang. Empress Dowager Zhuang took a deep breath, raised her head, turned around and looked at the dim corridor. The Empress will save her and love her. She will never have to live in Ning An's shadow. Mother! Ning An's tears burst out of her eyes as she rushed over and grabbed the corner of Empress Dowager Zhuang's clothes. Empress Dowager Zhuang walked to the exit expressionlessly. A drop of hot tear fell, but she did not turn back once. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1085063363. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 578. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that cannot be found on the internet here. Mother! 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 Mother, I know I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Please give me another chance. Mother! I gave you a chance. From the day you came back, I knew you were not Ning, and Ijia also knows that Ijia's Ning and will most likely not come back. Ijia's tear was for Ningen. That night, you went to the nunnery. I only thought that you went to remember your mother. You are her flesh and blood. It is understandable that you miss her. I have no objection. You once gave me warmth when I needed it the most. I feel that as long as you did not kill Ningen, as long as you sincerely came back to be a princess, then I can accept you. But why did you do this to my Jiao Jiao? Why did you collude with the people of Yan? Why did you hurt Lulang? Why did you do so many unforgivable things? Empress Dowager Zhuang sat in the carriage to go back. Eunuch Qin was originally sitting outside. Seeing that Empress Dowager Zhuang was not in a good mood, he thought about it and boldly sat inside. Eunuch Qin looked at Empress Dowager Zhuang. Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager Zhuang pinched her sore eyebrows. What do you want to say? Nothing. Eunuch Qin instinctively denied. To be honest, he was still digesting it. Those letters were sent back to the capital by Gu Chongqing on an 800-mile express official plate. They had just arrived this morning. When they arrived, he did not read them. It was the Empress Dowager who sorted them out herself. So, it was actually the first time he heard such a shocking truth. I feel that my brain is not enough. Eunuch Qin said embarrassedly. Empress Dowager Zhuang said lightly. If you want to ask, ask. Don't be so wishy-washy. Yes. Eunuch Qin laughed dryly. When Princess Ningen was young, she was afraid of the dark for a while and then not. Are they two different people? Empress Dowager Zhuang closed her eyes. Yes. Eunuch Qin sucked in a breath of cold air weakly. She has already left the palace. How did she get in? Empress Dowager Zhuang said lightly. Her mother is an imperial concubine. Is it difficult to get a child in? It's not like she's living in the palace all year round. She just comes over occasionally to let them reunite. That's true. Eunuch Qin suddenly understood. Does Princess Ningen know about this? Empress Dowager Zhuang pondered for a moment and shook her head. I don't think so. With Ning An's personality, she would not be able to hide it. At least, she would not hide it from her and the emperor. What was the child thinking at that time? Seeing the carefree Ningen, she made a request to concubine Jing. Mother, I want to be a princess too. Thus, old concubine Jing changed her into Ning An's clothes and had her pretend to be Ningen. She wanted her to be the princess for a day, half a day, or even 2 hours. After that, she returned to her own place. Eunuch Qin sighed. Now that you think about it, she is quite pitiful. Just because she was born 2 hours later than her sister. The difference between them is like heaven and earth. This servant is not a death warrior, so I don't know what kind of life a death warrior has, but I don't think she enjoys as much as a princess. Empress Dowager Zhuang said. Compared to a princess? She's far worse than a commoner. The hardships of a death warrior were not something that ordinary people could bear. That's even worse. Eunuch Qin sighed and said. Then the one who married to the frontier fortress was the real Princess Ning'an, right? Empress Dowager Zhuang sighed. It was her. Perhaps it was then that they began to plan for her sister to replace Ning'an. It was hard to say whether old concubine Jing had feelings for Ning'an. Perhaps she did, but it was just that she was selfish. The carriage began to move slowly. Empress Dowager Zhuang leaned against the wall of the carriage, and Eunuch Qin quickly put a pillow for her. Empress Dowager Zhuang recalled. After old concubine Jing died, I once interrogated Nanny Kai, and Nanny Kai said something to me. Eunuch Qin asked, what did she say? Empress Dowager Zhuang said. After the emperor and old concubine Jing fell out, old concubine Jing planned to take out the imperial edict and die with me. Nanny Kai begged her not to be impulsive and asked her to think for Ning'an. She said that she had Ning'an as well as His Majesty. Her expression was not right at that time, and her words were also strange. She replied to Nanny Kai, Ning'an will never come back in this lifetime. She will never come back. I thought the same as Nanny Kai. I thought that old concubine Jing said that Ning'an would never come back, because of what I said to Ning'an in a fit of anger. I said that if Ning'an dared to marry to the frontier fortress, she would never be allowed to come back in this lifetime. Eunuch Qin hurriedly nodded. This old servant remembers that you did say that. This old servant even tried to persuade you at that time. Empress Dowager Zhuang sighed again. So, I didn't suspect anything at that time. Nanny Kai never had any contact with that child, so she naturally didn't suspect anything. Eunuch Qin clicked his tongue and said, no one would suspect anything. Who would have thought that old concubine Jing gave birth to Ning'an and hid another one? Even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its cubs. How could she be willing to give up her own flesh and blood to become a suicide soldier? Empress Dowager Zhuang said coldly, there are all kinds of people in this world. Eunuch Qin nodded. That's true. Empress Dowager Zhuang said regretfully, that child didn't appear in the palace many times. After she turned 10, she never appeared in front of me again. If she appears a few more times, perhaps I'll be able to discover something. Pure Flowers Palace. The emperor, who had been knocked unconscious by Princess Xinyang's pillow, finally woke up again. When he opened his eyes, he saw Princess Xinyang standing guard by his bedside. His first reaction was to quickly cover his head with his hands. Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang had knocked the emperor unconscious, so there was no way she could escape. Unless she killed the emperor, he would definitely pursue her crimes. But killing him would be troublesome. First, it would be difficult to dispose of the corpse. Second, she was currently in the position of regent. Now that the emperor had passed away and the crown prince had ascended the throne, she was worried that she would continue to be regent. This was very annoying. The emperor looked at the conflicted Princess Xinyang. Why did he feel so uneasy? Ahem. The emperor cleared his throat and calmly put down his hands, pretending that the cowardly scene just now had never happened. Princess Xinyang stood up. The emperor once again covered his head with his hands. Princess Xinyang. Then, I'll kneel and admit my wrongs. After the emperor reacted, he flew into a rage out of humiliation and sternly shouted, sit down. Don't move. Fine, I'll sit down. It was you who didn't allow me to kneel. Princess Xinyang sat down on a stool. Princess Xinyang didn't know martial arts, but after being together with Long Yi for a long time, honestly speaking, she had a murderous aura. Not to mention, she originally had the aura of an imperial sister. That pillow directly left a deep shadow in the depths of the emperor's heart. Eugene had already been dismissed. The emperor composed himself and sat up straight. He sternly said, Wei Quan, get in here. Yes. Eunuch Wei hurriedly walked in. What happened to your face? The emperor looked strangely at the bruised and swollen face of Eunuch Wei. Eunuch Wei lowered his head and said, I fell. He was beaten by Eugene. When the emperor was unconscious, he came in once. He sized up Princess Xinyang's Adam's apple, the hair on her hands and other places. When he left, he was beaten by Eugene for being a pervert. Xinyang is guilty. Your Majesty, please punish me. Princess Xingyang took the initiative to admit her wrongs. You've got guts. The emperor slapped the jade pillow. His entire hand was numb. At your disposal, Your Majesty. Please immediately remove me from the position of regent. The emperor unhappily said. I haven't thought of how to deal with you yet. Leave it for now. Oh. Princess Xingyang looked disappointed. The emperor was speechless. The emperor coldly said. Why did you knock me out? I thought you wanted to kill the emperor. Princess Xingyang truthfully said. I misunderstood Your Majesty. I thought Your Majesty wanted to protect Ning'an. I want to protect her. The emperor was furious. When did he say he wanted to protect Ning'an? The emperor coldly glared at Princess Xingyang. Normally, she always acted like an imperial sister. It was rare for her to act like one. This feeling was quite good. The emperor cleared his throat. Did you enter the palace today to ask me something? I didn't. Princess Xingyang glanced at the emperor, whose forehead was swollen like a pig's head. Forget it. I can have it. Princess Xingyang racked her brain for a moment and asked, why did Princess Ning'an want to assassinate Your Majesty? The emperor said, I saw the confession letter and knew that she was the one behind the incident at Immortal Music House. Princess Xingyang gave the emperor a meaningful look. Your Majesty believed it? The emperor lightly coughed and said, I didn't believe it at first, but she suddenly killed herself by hitting a pillar to prove her innocence. That scene reminded me of something that had long been forgotten. That was many years ago. You and Ning'an had not yet married. The previous emperor was seriously ill. I went to visit the previous emperor, and found that there were two Ning'ans there. One Ning'an pushed the other Ning'an, causing her forehead to be seriously injured. She bled a lot, just like that day in the imperial study. Two Ning'ans. Princess Xingyang frowned. The emperor's expression became complicated. That was the first time I saw two Ning'ans. I was scared out of my wits and thought I had seen a ghost. It was then that Concubine Jing appeared. Concubine Jing brought me back to my chambers, and told me not to tell anyone what I saw. I asked Concubine Jing what was going on, and why there were two Ning'ans. If she didn't tell me the truth, I would go find Imperial Father. Concubine Jing told me that Ning'an had a younger sister. Unfortunately, she was born without any breath. She thought it was a stillborn, and was worried that Imperial Father would be unhappy. So she had the midwife secretly take the child out of the palace and bury it. But on the way out of the palace, the child came back to life. It was already announced that there was only one child. If she brought the child back, it would be revealed that she took out the stillborn and buried it. Imperial Father would definitely be angry, so she could only secretly raise the child outside the palace. Your Majesty didn't believe it, did you? It was obvious that this story was fake. The emperor fiercely said. Of course I don't believe it. Princess Xingyang curled her lips. You do believe it. The Ning'an who pushed her is the younger sister? Princess Xingyang asked. How do you know everything? The emperor looked at Princess Xingyang in surprise. Princess Xingyang didn't say that even an idiot could guess. If there was a kind Ning'an and a demon Ning'an in this world, then the one who grew up with them would definitely be the kind Ning'an. And then Princess Xingyang looked at the emperor. After that, Concubine Jing begged me to keep it a secret. The emperor paused. Princess Xingyang continued. But Your Majesty was close to the Empress Dowager, as if they were mother and son. Your Majesty would definitely tell the Empress Dowager. The emperor didn't deny it. He knew his personality well. Even if he promised Concubine Jing that he wouldn't tell anyone, he would definitely tell Imperial Mother afterward. The Empress Dowager definitely wouldn't believe the story Concubine Jing made up. She would have sensed that something was wrong. Princess Xingyang combined what had happened and said, So, Concubine Jing wanted Your Majesty and the Empress Dowager to break off their relationship. But she was afraid that the break wouldn't be thorough enough. So she gave Your Majesty medicine so that Your Majesty would listen to her. Under the effects of the medicine, Your Majesty naturally forgot everything that might affect your relationship with your son. The emperor sighed and nodded. That's right. Princess Xingyang suddenly understood. Then everything makes sense. The emperor continued. That accident in the imperial study reminded me of what I saw in the previous emperor's chambers. I immediately concluded that she was another Ningen, not the one who grew up with me. So that's how it was. She was wondering how a mere confession could affect the relationship between His Majesty and Ningen. Princess Xinyang asked seriously. How does Your Majesty plan to deal with her? The emperor said seriously, she's not Ningen. I won't let her off. That's more like it. Princess Xinyang slowly got up. It's getting late. Xinyang will take her leave. Xinyang. The emperor suddenly called out to her. Princess Xinyang looked at the emperor in confusion. The emperor hesitated for a moment, then said with difficulty, Do you think Ningen is still alive? Princess Xinyang didn't say anything. She bowed slightly and turned to leave. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896428266/10850595. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. Chapter 579. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Princess Xinyang left the palace and sat in her carriage. Eugene asked, Princess, do you want to go to Vermilion Bird Avenue? Princess Xinyang thought for a moment, then said, Let's go to Jadewater Alley. When the carriage arrived at Jadewater Alley, Gu Jiao and Xiaoheng were plowing the ground in the front yard. The two of them held hoes and did a decent job. They really did look like a young farmer couple. Princess Xinyang walked over. Mother. Xiaoheng saw her and greeted her. Gu Jiao called her princess. Princess Xinyang glanced at a certain person, not satisfied with this form of address. Xiaoheng smiled and grabbed Princess Xinyang's hand. Mother, why are you here? I won't bully your wife. Princess Xinyang glared at him and slapped his hand away. She asked the two of them. Has the Empress Dowager returned? Xiaoheng looked at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao said, She's back. She's talking with Huang Fuxian inside. Princess Xinyang asked, Do you know about Ningan's matter? Gu Jiao nodded. I just heard from Great Aunt. Princess Xinyang's expression relaxed. Then there's nothing else. I'll go back first. I'll see you out, Xiaoheng said. Princess Xinyang turned and walked towards the door. She hadn't taken 2 steps when she caught sight of the red-tasseled spear basking in the sun on the bamboo. Her lips twitched. She said to Xiaoheng, This courtyard is empty. Let's play with the spear for a bit. A trace of embarrassment flashed across Xiaoheng's face. He held her arm and walked out. My own son, my own son. Princess Xinyang glared at him, both angry and amused. She then boarded the carriage. Gu Jiao held the hoe and looked at the tightly shut window in the west room. She asked, Do you think Great Aunt will tell him everything? Xiaoheng's gaze also landed on the tightly shut window. He said, Probably. Gu Jiao thought for a moment. Aren't you afraid that he'll be sad? He's still so young. Children seem to be very fragile. You're only 3 years older than him. Xiaoheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How old did this girl think she was? Xiaoheng said, We should choose the lesser of 2 evils. If we don't tell him and let him live in the misunderstanding of being hated by his own mother for the rest of his life, that would be the saddest thing. Gu Jiao seemed to have sensed his emotions and understood a little. She turned to look at him. Do you remember what happened to you? Yes. Xiaoheng did not deny it. The most painful thing he had experienced was not that he was not Princess Xinyang's child, nor was it that he was almost burned to death in the fire. It was that he had misunderstood Princess Xinyang's disgust and abandonment of him. It was a kind of self-detachment that dug out one's heart and liver. Gu Jiao said. Huang Fuxian said that after he was injured, his mother seemed to have changed into a different person. Perhaps from then on, she was no longer the real Ning'an. Do you think the emperor's son-in-law knows about Ning'an? Xiaoheng shook his head. I don't know. Some things will never have an answer. It was 2 hours later when Empress Dowager Zhuang came out of the west room. She looked very tired and her eyes were bloodshot. When she stepped over the threshold, she stumbled. Gu Jiao was sweeping the room. She quickly went forward to support her. Great-aunt. Empress Dowager Zhuang waved her hand. It's okay. I'm old. I'll go back to my room and lie down for a while. Then, she slowly walked to her room. Her hair was silver and white. Her entire person was shrouded in great vicissitudes. Her back seemed to be slightly bent. In just one day, she seemed to have aged 10 years. Her life had been too bitter. She had protected the country of Zhao, the throne of His Majesty, and the glory of the Zhuang family. But the people she had raised with her own hands were all gone. Ning'an, who she wanted to see, would never come back. Empress Dowager Zhuang slowly lay on her bed. There was no light in the room. Creak. The door was pushed open. With another creak, the door was closed. A small figure ran to the bed and lay on the edge of the bed. Great-aunt. Empress Dowager Zhuang said lightly. What? Little Jing Kong asked cutely. Do you want to sleep? Empress Dowager Zhuang rolled her eyes. No, I'm lying here to germinate. Little Jing Kong opened his eyes wide. Oh, then I'll pour some water on you. Empress Dowager Zhuang was speechless. Little Jing Kong said again. Great-aunt, you still owe me a candied fruit. Empress Dowager Zhuang said. The jar is on the table. Take it yourself. Little Jing Kong said. Great-aunt, why don't you act shamelessly today? Empress Dowager Zhuang said expressionlessly. You're very noisy today. Little Jing Kong tilted his head. Was I not noisy before? Empress Dowager Zhuang was going crazy. She just wanted to be alone and be sad for a while. Why was this little monk always so noisy? It's time to eat. Gu Xiaoshuan's loud shout came from the yard. Little Jing Kong grabbed Empress Dowager Zhuang's sleeve. Great-aunt, let's go eat. I don't want to eat. Great-uncle made brown sugar glutinous rice cake. I don't want to. He also made honey bean rolls. No, and sugar eggs. Empress Dowager Zhuang's face darkened, and she swallowed. Couldn't they let her be sad for a while? Huang Fuxian was sick. Gu Jiao didn't wake him up as soon as he fell asleep. She heated millet porridge for him in the pot. He could eat it when he woke up. Unexpectedly, Huang Fuxian still didn't wake up at night. Why isn't my little brother awake? Little Jing Kong asked in confusion. Let me see. Gu Jiao checked Huang Fuxian's pulse and touched his forehead. His pulse was normal and his body temperature was normal. He should just be asleep. Huang Fuxian was indeed asleep. He had a dream that he went back to the time when he was 5 years old. That year, the snow at the frontier fortress was very heavy. Many people froze or starved to death at home. Princess Ning'an took the servants and planned to go to the market in Yi City to give out porridge. The 5-year-old ran over and hugged Princess Ning'an's leg. He said crisply, Mother, Xian wants to go too. Princess Ning'an looked at the snow outside the house and gently stroked his head. She smiled and said, The snow is too heavy. Xian will freeze if he goes out. Xian will obediently stay at home and wait for Mother to come back, okay? The 5-year-old shook his head. But Mother will also freeze. Princess Ning'an said softly, Mother won't. Mother wears a lot of clothes. The 5-year-old puffed out his chest. Xian can also wear a lot of clothes. Princess Ning'an laughed softly and held him in her arms. She kissed his little face and forehead. Good boy. Mother will be back soon. Then Princess Ning'an put him down, put on her cloak and went out. He chased to the door with his short legs. As expected, he was stopped by the servants. He had dreamed of this scene many times. The next scene was that he pretended to take a nap. When no one was looking, he sneaked into the shopping cart and hid under the stool. He then followed the cart out of the residence. But the young him didn't know that not all carriages would go to his mother's porridge stall. The carriage stopped at a strange place. It was already dark. The coachman went to do something, so he got off the carriage. On a strange street with strange people, he became flustered. He began to call out Nyangqin. He didn't know how long he called and how long he walked. The helplessness of not being able to find his mother always woke him up from his nightmares. But this time was different. He continued to run around on the street like a headless fly. The wind and snow became heavier and heavier. He lost his way. Unknowingly, he came to an empty official road. There was white snow on both sides as far as the eye could see. He didn't have any strength. He fell into the snow and couldn't get up again. Just as he was about to lose consciousness, a gentle and anxious voice sounded above his head. Then he was picked up by a pair of gentle arms. Sienna. It was his mother. He weakly opened his eyes and saw a face full of tears. Mother finally found you. Princess Ning'an hugged him tightly in her arms. He also wanted to hug his mother, but he was frozen. Princess Ning'an carried him on her back. Braving the biting cold wind and snow, she walked forward step by step. Princess Ning'an fell into the snow countless times, but she got up countless times. Mother, I'm so cold. Princess Ning'an took off her cotton-padded clothes and covered him. So sleepy. He murmured on his mother's back. Princess Ning'an gasped for breath and said, Sienna, don't sleep. Mother will take you home. In the end, she couldn't go any further. She lay down in the cold snow. He lay on her back as the snow fell in a flurry. She dug a small hole in the snow below her with her bare hands. She dug until her 10 fingers were badly mangled, and her white bones could be seen. She also took off her jacket and wrapped it around him with her cotton-padded clothes. She carefully put him inside. Then she used her weak and thin body to cover the snow hole, blocking the wind and snow for him. The bone-piercing cold wind cut into her body. She gradually became stiff. She used the last of her strength to say to him, Sienna, you have to live. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found on the internet are all here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1084874003. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 580. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. Before dawn, Gu Jiao came out of the east room. These days, Huang Fuxian was resting in the west room. Xiao Heng and little Jing Kong were originally going to rest in the east room, but they were taken to the room next door by her granduncle. There was already the sound of a big and a small quarreling next door. It seemed that they had woken up. Gu Jiao went to the backyard to wash up. Just as she was wiping her face, she saw a shadow on the ground that was illuminated by the lantern under the corridor. She turned around and looked carefully. She saw Huang Fuxian pushing a wheelchair out of the study. There was no threshold in the study, so the wheelchair could enter and exit freely. But how did he come out of the west room? Have you been awake for a long time? Gu Jiao asked. Not too long. I asked your secret guard to help me. He was referring to the secret guard who helped him and the wheelchair out of the west room. This kid even asked the secret guard to help him. Gu Jiao said. Wait a moment. I'll go and make breakfast after washing my face. Huang Fuxian stared at her. I heard from the little mushroom that you have a way to make me stand up? Little mushroom? Gu Jiao blinked her eyes in astonishment. It took her a while to realize that he was referring to little Jing Kong. Gu Jiao looked at him. You've thought it through? Huang Fuxian lowered his eyes and pinched his cold fingertips. I've thought it through. He wanted to live. He didn't want to live like a walking corpse, but like a real person. Even if he didn't have legs, he wanted to be indomitable. He wanted to visit the rivers and mountains of Zhao country. and use his feet to measure the territory of Zhao country. He would carry his mother's hope and try his best to live on. It's very hard. I'm not afraid. It's also very painful. It's more painful than bone scraping. I'm not afraid of pain. Gu Jiao scratched her head. It's not a matter of whether you're afraid or not. It's just that I don't have the materials to make an receptor cavity. Forget it. I'll go harvest resin when spring comes. After washing her face, Gu Jiao returned to the east room. She took out the medicine box, and was about to take out the medicine and gauze to change Huang Fuxian's dressing. However, she was surprised to find that the weight of the medicine box was not right. She opened it and saw that there was a new pair of receptacles on top of the emergency medicine. What happened to old concubine Jing? And her daughter had taught the emperor a bloody lesson. He no longer mentioned hiding someone's crime. Of course, even if he wanted to, he couldn't. Princess Xinyang had already announced old concubine Jing's crime in front of all the officials in the throne room. There was no way to take it back. As for Ning An's identity, he had to announce it to the world. The crimes of the fake Ning An had to be made public as well. These matters were handed over to the Ministry of Justice. Minister Xing's case was overturned this morning, and he was acquitted. Xiao Heng and Assistant Minister Li personally went to the Supreme Court to bring him back. Assistant Minister Li cupped his hands at Minister Xing and smiled apologetically. Lord Xing, I had no choice but to accuse you of putting on an act that day. I apologize for offending you. You brat. Minister Xing raised his hand to slap Assistant Minister Li. Assistant Minister Li shrunk back in fear. In the end, Minister Xing restrained himself and only kicked him lightly. Why didn't you give me a heads up? I've always said that I've always treated you well. Why are you pouring dirty water on my head in the blink of an eye? Assistant Minister Li smiled awkwardly and glanced at Xiao Heng. Isn't it because Lulang didn't want me to tell you? Lulang said that it was dangerous enough that I pretended to be bribed by her. I'm afraid I'll be exposed if more people know. Minister Xing was unconvinced. What? You can put on an act, but I can't? Assistant Minister Li smiled wryly. You just don't know how to put on an act. You're so upright. Minister Xing's anger was greatly reduced by this flattery. He looked at the two and said sternly, This is the only time. There won't be a next time. If you have any plans in the future, remember to inform me in advance. Don't keep me in the dark. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Assistant Minister Li replied with a smile. As they spoke, they left the Supreme Court, and the carriage stopped at the side of the road. Assistant Minister Li personally helped Minister Xing into the carriage. Then he turned around and walked towards Xiao Heng with an embarrassed expression. He lowered his voice and said, Lulang, this time thank you very much. Assistant Minister Li wasn't pretending to be bribed by the young master of Immortal Music House. He was really bribed. After the matter was exposed, it was Xiao Heng who came forward and said that Assistant Minister Li had taken his advice and put on an act with the other person. The purpose was to lure the fish into the bait. Xiao Heng said, Assistant Minister Li is too polite. Assistant Minister Li said embarrassedly, This time I was possessed. I won't dare to do it again. I'm deeply grateful for your saving my life. If there's anything you need me for in the future, don't hesitate to tell me. I'll definitely be willing to sacrifice myself for you. Xiao Heng smiled faintly. You're too polite. It didn't matter if Assistant Minister Li was truly so grateful that he was willing to sacrifice himself for him. What was important was that Assistant Minister Li would be very loyal to him with this information in his hands. From this moment on, Xiao Heng began the first step of cultivating his power. Princess Xinyang had given Xiao Heng the account book of concubine Jing. Xiao Heng understood what the princess meant. If he wanted to, he could hand over the account book, or keep it in his hands. With this information, the connections that concubine Jing had built up over the years would become his leaks. After returning to the Ministry of Justice, Minister Xing immediately had Xiao Heng bring over the case file. Xiao Heng had organized it very clearly. Minister Xing was very satisfied. He felt that after this incident, Xiao Lulang should be promoted. Minister Xing flipped through the file as he said, I'll let Assistant Minister Li handle Sun Ping's funeral. You just focus on organizing this case. Oh right, Ningen. Halfway through his words, Secretary Xing Shang remembered that it was a fake Princess Ningen. He changed his words and said, "Since this matter has been handed over to the Ministry of Justice, send someone to the Supreme Court in a moment, and bring the young master of Xianle House here." Xiao Heng said, "The young master of Xianle Ju was taken away by His Majesty's men. His Majesty said that he would personally deal with her." "Is that so?" Minister Xing nodded. "All right. His Majesty was the boss. What could he say?" Sir. As they spoke, a prison guard hurriedly walked in. He cupped his hands and reported, "Sir Xing, a eunuch Su came from the palace. He said that he has an urgent matter to discuss with Minister Xiao." "I remember that the Empress has a eunuch Su by her side." Minister Xing didn't know about Xiao Heng's background, but he knew that Xiao Heng was deeply favored by the two masters in the palace. But when did the Empress get involved? Minister Xing looked at Xiao Heng. "All right, go. Don't make them wait too long." Xiao Heng bowed and excused himself. At the entrance of the Ministry of Justice's Yamen, he saw the anxious Eunuch Su. "Eunuch Su," he greeted. "Ouch!" Eunuch Su hurriedly ran over and grabbed his arm. He sobbed in a low voice. "Young Duke, bad news. Something happened to the 7th prince." Xiao Heng went to the medical center and picked up Gu Jiao in the carriage. They rushed to the palace as quickly as possible. "What's the situation?" Gu Jiao asked. Xiao Heng said he fainted. He said that after he was rescued that day, he was a little listless. The Empress had the imperial physician check his body. There was nothing strange, so she just thought that he was too frightened. But at noon, when he was eating, he suddenly fell from the chair. I don't know if he fainted and then fell down, but he fainted. Gu Jiao pondered. What did the imperial physician say? Xiao Heng shook his head. The imperial physician couldn't diagnose the problem. The two entered Kuan-Ning Palace. They could hear Empress Xiao crying from afar. The crown prince went to court. He still didn't know that something happened to his younger brother. Empress Xiao didn't send anyone to inform him. Master, Lord Xiao and Dr. Gu are here. Eunuch Su reported outside the door. Empress Xiao dismissed the palace servants, leaving only Eunuch Su. Aheng. Empress Xiao sobbed. As the empress of a country, Empress Xiao had always been dignified and self-restrained. She rarely lost her composure like this. Xiao Heng comforted her softly. Auntie, take care of yourself. Let Jiao Jiao take a look at little Qi first. Empress Xiao stepped aside. Jiao Jiao, you must cure little Qi. Gu Jiao nodded. I'll try my best. Gu Jiao put down the small basket, opened the small medicine box, and took out the stethoscope. There was no noise in his lungs. His heartbeat was a little fast. She checked Qin Chuyu's pulse. It was too strange. She had never seen such a pulse in her 2 lives. Gu Jiao asked Empress Xiao. Can you describe the scene when the 7th prince fainted in detail? Empress Xiao recalled. At that time little Qi was eating. He said that he didn't want to eat vegetables. I said something to him. Suddenly he screamed, covered his heart, and fell down. Covered his heart? Angina? Gu Jiao murmured. Then she asked, is he usually like this? Empress Xiao sobbed and shook her head. No. He has always been fine. But after he was kidnapped by that woman, he became a little depressed. I thought he was frightened. The royal doctor also said so. But the child is still young. We can't give him any medicine. The royal doctor said he would be fine after a while. But who would have thought? Gu Jiao pulled the quilt, took off Qin Chuyu's clothes, and carefully checked his body for any hidden wounds. There was nothing. Xiao Heng suddenly said, Jiao Jiao, his right wrist. Gu Jiao looked at Qin Chuyu's right wrist. She didn't see anything. She changed her angle and stood beside Xiao Heng. This time, she saw it clearly. There was a gray mark on Qin Chuyu's wrist. It couldn't be seen if the light was too bright or too dark. Gu Jiao rubbed it with her fingertips. She couldn't wipe it off. Did he have this before? Empress Xiao thought for a while and shook her head. I don't think so. Although this mark is very shallow, if it has been there for many days, there will be a chance to find it. Gu Jiao said, so it's very likely that it appeared recently. Gu Jiao pondered for a while and said to Xiao Heng, Where is the young master of Xianlu House? She should know what this is. Xiaoheng said. She was taken away by His Majesty's people. His Majesty said he would deal with her personally. Empress Xiao hurriedly ordered eunuch Su. Go to His Majesty and ask for her. Digression, please give me a wave of monthly votes. While the latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1084858899. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. Chapter 581. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. There was a secret room in the side hall of Pure Flower's palace used to interrogate palace personnel. It wasn't as eerie as the Ministry of Justice's prison, but it was still dark and strange. At this time, Princess Ning'an was lying on the cold floor. Because her legs were broken, she couldn't stand up and walk. There were doctors in the imperial prison who helped her set her bones, but how could they heal so quickly? The emperor sat 10 steps away from her. Eunuch Wei and 2 palace experts were guarding him. What should we call you? The emperor asked coldly. Qin Fengyan, she said weakly. You think you're worthy of the surname Qin? The emperor coldly glanced at the face that was almost identical to Princess Ning'an's. When he thought of Ning'an, his heart felt like it was being stabbed. However, when he thought of this woman who replaced Ning'an, he couldn't calm down. How did Ning'an die? Was she killed by the two of you together? Qin Fengyan smiled bitterly. Will your majesty believe me if I say no? The emperor found it hard to believe. He had suffered enough at the hands of this mother and daughter pair, so he was a bit paranoid. The emperor said, then we'll change the question. Where is Ning'an's body buried? Qin Fengyan looked at the emperor with a smile that wasn't a smile. Perhaps she's still alive. Your majesty, if you let me go, I'll tell you her whereabouts. The emperor grasped the armrest of his chair tightly. It had to be said that he was moved in that instant. Eunuch Wei hurriedly warned. Your majesty, be careful of trickery. The emperor composed himself and said seriously. You don't need to lie to us anymore. You've committed many evil deeds, so we won't forgive you. We called you here today to ask you where Ning'an's body is buried. If you don't want to suffer more, it's best if you tell us the truth. We might consider giving you a quick death. Quick ha 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 ha. Qin Fengyan laughed until her entire body trembled. Imperial brother, oh imperial brother, don't you think your words are very hypocritical? Death is death, what's the point of dying a quick death? I don't understand. We're both your sisters, so why is Ning'an's life so good? But I was taken out of the palace from a young age, living a life that was neither human nor ghost. Brother, do you know how much I've been tortured since I was a child? Being exposed to the scorching sun on a hot summer day and freezing in the cold winter. Being disobedient would result in starvation or a severe beating. My happiest day of the month is being able to enter the palace and pretend to be Ning'an. That way, I can be a royal princess for a day. When the emperor heard her mention her past, he couldn't help but frown. Why didn't you tell me? Qin Fengyan sneered. Didn't I say that? Did I really not mention it? A distant memory suddenly surged into his mind. The young him and the young Ning'an squatted by the lake, and used tree branches to write. Little Ning'an wrote the word yin in big letters. Brother, I'm not yin. I'm yin. The young man took the branch and flicked her forehead. Silly girl. Why can't you even write your own name? Little Ning'an said angrily. I am Yener. That's the name. With that, she ran off in a huff. Qin Fengyan said with tears in her eyes. Brother, do you remember now? Mother later found out about that matter. She warned me not to mention my past to anyone, or else she wouldn't let me enter the palace to see her. Brother, I was only a child the same age as little Chi. Did I have the guts to go against Mother and so many evil people? I was also forced. What did I do wrong? Why do you always only care about Ningen, and no one cares about me? Qin Fengyan cried sadly. A thick layer of self-blame suddenly rose from the bottom of the emperor's heart. A person's nature at birth was good. If she had been raised in the palace like Ningen, raised by her father and mother, would she not have grown up to be like this? She should have been a carefree royal princess. She should have enjoyed all the glory and wealth in the world. She should have, clang clang. The door to the secret chamber was kicked open from the outside. The emperor's thoughts came to an abrupt end. He turned around abruptly and was about to reprimand when he saw a small, thin figure walk over fiercely and kick Qin Fengyan, who was crying and acting pitiful, over. Ah! Qin Fengyan let out a scream and crashed into the wall behind her. Little miracle doctor? The emperor was shocked. Gu Jiao walked forward and kicked away the medicine beside her hand. Her other foot stepped coldly on her chest. The emperor was stunned by this scene. The palace experts hurriedly protected him behind them. All of you retreat, he said. The palace experts retreated to the side. The emperor looked at the medicine bag that had been kicked over by Gu Jiao and froze in place in disbelief. This is she. Eunuch Wei hurriedly walked over with small, quick steps. He wrapped his hand in a handkerchief and picked up the medicine bag. When he opened it, he saw that it was a bag of crushed brown medicinal powder. It emitted a strong medicinal and floral fragrance. The smell is a bit familiar. Have I seen it somewhere before? Eunuch Wei murmured. It's white medicine. Gu Jiao glanced at it and said lightly. Eunuch Wei sucked in a cold breath. His Majesty had been bewitched by this medicine for so many years, and had finally lost its effect. If he were to be bewitched again, he would become a fool for the rest of his life. The emperor flew into a rage out of humiliation. How does the Supreme Court do things? They don't even search the prisoners. Male prisoners were usually searched, but she was not a normal prisoner. It was not that professional to find a nanny to search her, so it was not difficult for her to smuggle a pill. An extreme chill ran down the emperor's spine. He looked at Qin Fengyan on the ground with disgust. To think that I was sympathetic to you just now. So you were acting all along. Qin Fengyan wanted to struggle, but she could not move at all. Gu Jiao was stepping on her chest like a mountain, making it hard for her to breathe. Gu Jiao looked at Qin Fengyan with cold eyes. What did you do to Qin Qiyu? The emperor's expression changed. He looked at Gu Jiao and said, What happened to little Qi? Gu Jiao stepped down and broke one of Qin Fengyan's ribs. Qin Fengyan did not expect Gu Jiao to be so ruthless. Didn't people interrogate prisoners without saying anything before using torture? How could she break someone's bones as soon as she came up? The light outside the house shone in at an angle. Gu Jiao's back was against the light, and her face was hidden in the dark. Her pair of dark, deep, and cold eyes reminded people of the god of death. Qin Fengyan had a trump card, but for some reason, in front of this powerful god of death, she could not help but feel a sense of fear. She used all her courage and shouted, If I die, he will die too. The emperor walked over and looked at her angrily. What do you mean? What did you do to little Qi? Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. The entire secret room was filled with Qin Fengyan's crazy laughter. This woman was crazy. It was downright crazy. Even if she died, she would drag someone down with her. She said that she was the emperor's sister, but she turned around and murdered her own nephew. The emperor hated himself for being stupid. He even wanted to sympathize with her just now. Gu Jiao stepped on Qin Fengyan's right hand, and was not surprised to see the same white mark on her right wrist. Ah, so you found out. Ha ha ha. So what? Do you know what this is? Do you know how to cure it? You can't cure it. Qin Qiyu's life is mine. You don't dare to kill me. Do you want to take a gamble? See if I'm lying? Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Don't you think you're very powerful? I might as well tell you that the antidote is in the hands of the Yin people. If you have the ability, go get it. The emperor was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. Gu Jiao's expression did not change at all. She was still as calm as an ancient well. So there is an antidote. Qin Fengyan was stunned. Was that the point? Did she hear what she said? The Yen people. They were from the Yen people. Gu Jiao took out a dagger and cut Qin Fengyan's and the emperor's fingers. She took out the blood type test paper from the small medicine box. Very good, the blood type was the same. Gu Jiao put on gloves and took out an infusion tube and a disposable bleach. Her movements were calm and elegant, like a devout believer. But for some reason, Qin Fengyan's heart skipped a beat. She instinctively felt fear. What are you going to do? Gu Jiao raised her gloved hand and looked at her calmly. Qin Fengyan backed up with her hands in fear. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Don't come over. She retreated to a corner and had nowhere to go. Gu Jiao came in front of her, raised her gloved hand, and gently patted the top of her head. I hate it when people threaten me. The emperor was afraid of injections, so he had already fainted. The two imperial experts did not know what was going on and wanted to protect the emperor, but they were knocked down by Gu Jiao in one move. Eunuch Wei swallowed. He did not know whether to leave or not. Light the lamp, Gu Jiao said. All right. Eunuch Wei ran over eagerly. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found online here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1084670084. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion mobile reading website. Chapter 582. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Qin Fengyan's original intention was to leave a way out for herself. Once Qin Chuyu's life was tied to hers, she didn't believe that they would be ruthless enough to kill her. This was a flawless plan, but she ran into Gu Jiao, who didn't play by the rules. If she sincerely repented and begged, Gu Jiao might consider letting her live for a few more days. But she actually used a child's life to threaten Gu Jiao. Coming out of the secret room, Gu Jiao was covered in blood. Not a single drop was hers. Eunuch Wei had been a eunuch for many years and punished countless people in the palace, but he had never seen someone treat someone like that. Eunuch Wei stuttered. Without waiting for him to finish, Gu Jiao took off her gown and gloves and left expressionlessly. Coming out of the palace, Gu Jiao returned to Jade Water Alley. She planned to change her clothes before going out. Just as she entered the courtyard, she found that Nan Xiang's master's wife and Master Lu were also there. The 3 little boys at home had gone to school. Yao Shi was sitting in the living room chatting with the 2 of them. Jiao Jiao, you're back? Yao Shi immediately saw Gu Jiao enter. Gu Jiao greeted the 3. Jiao Jiao, what's wrong? Are you in a hurry to go out? Yao Shi noticed that Gu Jiao's footsteps were hurried. Gu Jiao said, there's something I need to do. I need to go out for a bit. Madam, Xiaobao is hungry. Yuya carried Gu Xiaobao over. Yao Shi said to Nan Xiang's master's wife and Master Lu, excuse me. Nan Xiang smiled and nodded. Go ahead. Yao Shi carried Gu Xiaobao back to the room to feed him. Master Lu continued to sit in the living room and drink tea. Nan Xiang's master's wife hesitated for a moment before knocking on Gu Jiao's door. Jiao Jiao, it's me, she said. Madam Nanxiang, please come in. Gu Jiao had just changed into a set of light men's clothing when she picked up the red tasseled spear hanging on the wall and tied up the loose cloth. When Nan Xiang saw Gu Jiao's posture, she knew that it was not simple for her to go out. Now that they were all on the same side, Nan Xiang naturally would not turn a blind eye to it. You are like this in broad daylight. Is there something important? Gu Jiao asked. The seventh prince has been poisoned by a very strange poison. I'll go get him the antidote. Poison? The Tang sect was best at using hidden weapons and poisons. Nanxiang asked, "What are the symptoms? Can you tell me?" Gu Jiao told her about Qin Chuyu and Qin Fingyan's symptoms. Qin Chuyu's condition was more serious, and he was already unconscious. "This isn't our Tang sect's poison." Nanxiang frowned and muttered, "What?" Gu Jiao looked at her. Nanxiang smiled embarrassedly. "Nothing. I mean, I haven't seen this poison with my own eyes, but I've heard that it is a kind of voodoo. The seventh prince is still young this year, right?" Gu Jiao said. "He is 8 years old this year." Nanxiang nodded and said, "That's right. This kind of poison is very toxic. Generally, it can't be used on children. It's very easy for them to die. This kind of poison is divided into 2 kinds. Once the person who is poisoned by the mother voodoo dies, the person who is poisoned by the child voodoo will also die. But if the person who is poisoned by the child voodoo dies, the person who is poisoned by the mother voodoo will be fine. The seventh prince should be poisoned by the child voodoo. This kind of voodoo can only be found in the Shang kingdom. Did the Shang kingdom attack the royal family of the Zhao kingdom?" Gu Jiao said. "It's a long story." Nanxiang was not interested in the battle of the royal family, so she did not ask anymore. Instead, she said, "The person who poisoned the seventh prince probably didn't know that an 8-year-old child could not withstand its toxicity. This kind of poison was generally used to control people. But if people died after being poisoned, then there was no point in controlling them." "Nanxiang, do you know what the antidote looks like?" Gu Jiao asked. "I haven't seen that kind of antidote, so I can only take it back and try it first." Nanxiang asked, "By the way, how long has the seventh prince been poisoned?" Gu Jiao said, "He was poisoned at noon." Nanxiang's expression became dignified. "He can't hold on for more than half a day." It had been more than half a day. Even if Gu Jiao flew, it was impossible to get the antidote back in time. Nanxiang thought for a moment and said to Gu Jiao, "Find someone to take me into the palace. I have a way to temporarily stabilize his toxicity, but it won't last long. You must get the antidote back before dawn." Gu Jiao nodded. "Thank you, Nanxiang." Grandaunt, Xiaoheng, and people from Jingkong were not here. Granduncle was not here either. Now only Huang Fuxian could enter the palace. Gu Jiao came to the west room and woke up Huang Fuxian, who was sleeping. Master Lu pulled Nanxiang into the front yard, looked back and whispered, "Do you really want to enter the palace? Don't you remember Empress Xiao?" Nanxiang smiled. "That's all in the past. The seventh prince is a friend of Jingkong. Have you forgotten?" Master Lu said, "Of course I haven't forgotten. Jingkong always talks about him and Su Kanji." Nanxiang said, "If something happens to the seventh prince, Jingkong will be very sad." Master Lu sighed. "That's true, but I don't want you to go back to that place." Nanxiang touched her disfigured face through the veil. "I'm like this. Who will recognize me? Even if they recognize me, no one will care, right?" "Master Lu, I'll go with you." "Nanxiang, don't go. Wait for me here." "Master Lu." "But Nanxiang, be good." Master Lu had no choice but to surrender. Gu Jiao pushed Huang Fuxian out. "Jiao Jiao." Nanxiang turned around and saw Huang Fuxian sitting in a wheelchair at a glance. Huang Fuxian just woke up from his sleep and leaned against the wheelchair impatiently. He looked a little sick. The corners of his eyes were red and his eyes looked surly. Nanxiang's eyes suddenly popped out. Good, beautiful child. She wanted to kidnap him to be Xiaoshuan's younger brother. Master Lu opened his mouth. "I think I'd better follow you." Nanxiang pushed him away with her arm. "Go away." Master Lu, who was suddenly despised. Huang Fuxian took Nanxiang into the palace. Gu Jiao got on the horse, took Xiaojiao, and went out of the city to the nest of the Yan people. Xiaojiao's way of conveying information was like this. Follow them first. If it lost them, it would cover its head with a pair of wings when it got home, looking very dejected. If it didn't lose them, It would come back with a dead branch near its destination and valiantly show off in front of everyone. It showed off several times that day. It probably knew that it had done something big. Gu Jiao took out the dead branch it brought back that day. Xiao Jiu excitedly flapped its wings and soared into the sky. Gu Jiao followed Xiao Jiu out of the west gate and went southwest. When night fell, Gu Jiao came to a village near a mountain and a river. Xiao Jiu circled in the sky for a while before landing back on Gu Jiao's shoulder. Is it here? Gu Jiao asked. Xiao Jiu flapped its wings. Cluck cluck cluck. Gu Jiao. That's a hen. Xiao Jiu. Ku. Gu Jiao. That's a pigeon. Xiao Jiu. Ji. Gu Jiao. How many bird languages do you know? Gu Jiao secretly estimated that it took her no less than 3 hours to reach here from Jade Water Alley. This was because it was relatively easy to travel during the day. If it was nighttime, it might take more than 2 hours. For insurance, it would be best if she could get the antidote before 3 o'clock. Chirp. Xiao Jiu's bird feathers suddenly stood up. Gu Jiao felt a very powerful aura. She grabbed the red tasseled spear on her back. In the next second, a tall shadow flew over from the sky and stepped on the back of the horse. With a whoosh, she was carried away. Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao was carried to a nearby forest. There was a carriage parked there. Gu Jiao's face was black. Her cheeks were swollen due to the whistling cold wind. She looked like a sad frog that couldn't close its mouth. When Long Yi was flying, he was very rough, but when he put a person into the carriage, he was extremely gentle. Moreover, he especially considerately used his internal force to smooth out Gu Jiao's messy hair. Especially that bunch of a hogue that refused to admit defeat. Princess Xinyang looked at Gu Jiao and casually said, "Who told you to follow me?" Gu Jiao seriously said, "I didn't follow you." Princess Xinyang coldly snorted, still stubborn. Gu Jiao. "Fine, I followed you." Princess Xinyang drank a mouthful of tea. "Oh, how could you follow me?" Gu Jiao. Princess Xinyang poured a cup of tea for Gu Jiao. "You also came to kill? Don't waste your time, you can't kill me." "What's wrong?" Gu Jiao took the hot tea. Princess Xinyang said, "I've been observing here for a day, 100 dragon shadow guards. Give up on this idea." Even if Long Yi was powerful, he could still fight them individually. This was already comparable to a small army, so taking turns to fight them would exhaust their physical strength. Gu Jiao said, "So many dragon shadow guards?" Princess Xinyang said, "Dragon shadow guards is the name of Zhao country. They are called death soldiers, but their strength is the same." Princess Xinyang brought people here today to deal with the forces of Yan country, so as to prevent them from having ideas about Xiaoheng. Who would have thought that they would have so many people? Princess Xinyang said, "Don't act blindly without thinking. I will go back and have people come here to suppress them." Taking turns to fight them was always a good strategy. 100 dragon shadow guards had amazing fighting strength, but if they were to face an army of 10,000, they still had no chance of winning. Gu Jiao said, "It's already dawn, the 7th prince can't wait that long." Princess Xinyang frowned. "What do you mean? What happened to little Qi?" Gu Jiao told her about Qin Chuyu being poisoned. Princess Xinyang angrily slammed the table. "Damn Qin Fengyan. And His Majesty too. I was only gone for a day. That's what he's trying to do. That pillow was really too light." Gu Jiao. "I drew the poison from Qin Fengyan's body into His Majesty's body." Princess Xinyang. "Well done." Gu Jiao. "Well, he's your brother." Gu Jiao said, "I will go in first to find the antidote. I won't confront them directly." Thinking of something, Princess Xinyang asked, "Why didn't you bring Gu family's boy? Isn't that boy specialized in this? With him, stealing things will be faster." Gu Jiao said indifferently, "No need, I will do it myself, his martial arts are too weak." Gu Jiao only brought Gu Chengfeng for things she was confident in. If it was too dangerous, she would only do it herself. "You. How could Princess Xinyang not understand?" She said, "You are not allowed to go alone, bring Long Yi." Gu Jiao refused. "They have methods to deal with the dragon shadow guards. It's better not to bring Long Yi." What methods to deal with the dragon shadow guards? How could Princess Xinyang not understand Gu Jiao's thoughts? Gu Jiao was worried that if something happened inside, she would also be in danger, so she wanted to leave the most powerful person to her. Gu Jiao didn't care about other people could make decisions, but if Gu Jiao wanted to make a decision, no one could change it. Gu Jiao got off the horse and put on a mask. She ordered a secret guard from the princess's residence to quietly approach the manor. That secret guard followed behind Gu Jiao, and with a whoosh he was taken away. The secret guard was forced to the ground by a tall figure, and his clothes were stripped off. In the next second, Long Yi also took off his own clothes with a swish. Then, the secret guard looked at Long Yi in horror, and hugged his chest with both hands. "I would rather die." Long Yi knocked him out with a punch, and changed into his clothes. With a satisfied face he pulled up his pants and swaggered out. The remaining 4 dragon shadow guards walked out from behind the big tree, looking at their boss, and then looking at the secret guard lying on the ground. They suddenly understood something. They uniformly rushed over, and each of them caught a secret guard of the princess's mansion. Incomparably beastly, they pressed each other to the ground, and regardless of their tears and struggles, they took off their clothes. Then, the 4 of them changed, pulled up their pants, and valiantly followed their boss's footsteps. Gu Jiao sneaked into the manor's courtyard wall. She rushed behind the wall and blew a secret signal. It was safe so she could come over. Then Gu Jiao saw, a secret guard came over. 2 secret guards came over. 3 secret guards came over. With Long Yi as the leader, the 5 dragon shadow guards neatly lined up in a row like a tonghulu. Gu Jiao. Digression Long Yi, hahaha, forming a group to rob monthly votes. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/896422_8964286/10846554. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. That you're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.